idea of that. 191,811 people we believe are under mandatory evacuations, an additional 139,524 are under voluntary evacuations. I want to put that into perspective for you. If you've ever been to SoFi Stadium or ever even really seen SoFi Stadium, that is enough to fill the SoFi Stadium at least 3 times worth of people that are under evacuation orders. We talked about Monday Night Football, speaking of SoFi Stadium, is being moved from SoFi to Arizona because of the concerns over the weather conditions and just everything that is going on here in Southern California. So you look at that 331,000 people roughly under an evacuation order of some sort here in Southern California, and that is enough to fill nearly 3 SoFi stadiums worth of people. So really puts it in perspective for you how many of our neighbors, how many of our community members are dealing with this evacuation order across Southern California. And again, the newer ones that we've been talking about in the Hidden Hills and Mountain View communities, Calabasas, the north end of that, Oak Park, Bell Canyon under voluntary evacuations, as we are looking at the Kenneth fire that we now know has burned 791 acres. Really remarkable the work that they were able to do on it and how quickly they were able to do that. I'm going to ask the control room if we can look at my computer, because something that is constantly I am in awe of is the amount of aircraft that we have in the region right now to be able to help deal with these fires. And we'll show you my computer when we get a second and we're able to. But it's just really remarkable how much is here. And we've had these new starts. You know, we had the one in Runyon Canyon last night. We had this one today. And they're really able to so quickly get a handle on it because we've got so many aircraft. I don't ever recall a time where I have seen so many firefighting aircraft in our skies here, and here with the ability to help with everything that is going on. So because of the hard work and the good work that those guys have been doing, that is why we were able to get a hold of this Kenneth fire before it got into any homes. It really cut through a ravine kind of right in here between the Hidden Hills and the Mountain View communities, where I was worried because every time it gets into ravines, and I'm talking about this ravine right here, every time it gets into ravines, we get concerned because those ravines back up obviously right to homes and they've got vegetation in them, and there's always that concern. So this is that ravine that I was worried about, and it did. It kind of pushed through here, but did not spread either to the east or the west. So that is the good news here, and that is what is keeping people safe tonight, along with our incredible firefighters that you are seeing on your screen drop these retardant and water dropping helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft that are doing really remarkable work tonight.
You know, we're sitting here, Mike, watching it unfold. We were there when it was just 50 acres and crews were just in the neighborhood, and the aerial assault was headed that way. To finally see things shaping up to be a little better, while there's still mandatory and voluntary evacuations in the area, it's nice to see that the aerial attack was successful, and it seems like they've gotten a good handle on this fire.
It does, because the last thing we want is any more of our neighbors to be under an evacuation order. I mean, and I want to make a correction. It was our CBS News data journalism team that was able to compile that data for us. Not CBS News confirmed, but CBS data journalism that was able to do that. And we're talking 331,000 people. That is a lot of people, you guys. And that's what, you know, we talk about, and I figured that out, you know, the other day when we were talking about the evacuation center that was in Pasadena. We've seen evacuation centers get opened for fires, and we send people over there, we send photographers there, but 9 times out of 10, there's not a lot of people there, right? People go stay with friends and family and all of that. And in Pasadena, I think we had Ross there the other day, and he was telling us there was like 1,200 people inside of that evacuation center at the convention center for Pasadena. And that is really puts it into perspective for you that in some situations here, people that have had to be evacuated, they don't necessarily have places to go because their loved ones may have had their homes damaged or destroyed and different things like that. So it's really remarkable how many people in our community are under an evacuation order.
Okay. I'm going to chime in here because I have to. I am under voluntary evacuation orders, and I want to say this because I'm here to give information to our community and appreciate being here with all of you, but I have gotten texts and phone calls from family members and loved ones across the country. So I am here working. I'm in that Kenneth fire evacuation zone. It is voluntary at this time for Bell Canyon, and I hope it stays that way. But you know, it's not the first time that it's happened to me, but it is very concerning when you first hear about it.
Yeah, of course.
And in this particular sense, when you've got this massive fire of the likes of which we've never seen before in so many different areas, even when it strikes so close to home, you are a little bit more, I don't want to use the word worried, because I'm here, I'm okay. My husband is also not in the house. And, you know, I think that's the safest place to be, because what could we do if we were there? You listen when they say go, even if it's voluntary. You know, you use your judgment. And I'm going to be honest, I was on my way here, and I noticed for the first time I could see that smoke cloud that I thought was specifically from the Pacific Palisades actually getting larger. And I said, well, you know, they've been making some pretty good drops on that fire. So what's going on here? And I noticed a lot of helicopters and a fixed-wing aircraft going right by me on Valley Circle. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. And then my alert goes off. I start getting texts from some of my coworkers. I think I probably reached out to Mike. He's the first person I looked for when I got here. Then I realized, okay, oh, this is happening right in your backyard. So at this point, this is affecting so many of us. Mike, you had to go home for a moment yesterday, and thank God you came back, and I'm hoping that's the same thing for me and everybody.
Amy Johnson,
everybody
too, Pat,
out there.
was in
She
this.
just left. Yeah, she's in the community, I believe, north of us. So it impacts so many people and so many of our friends and colleagues. I mean, some of them have lost homes completely. So it is good to see that this you know, air power is happening right now. And thank God for that, because if you remember, guys, a couple of days ago, we weren't able to fly. We weren't able to show pictures of the devastation of what has happened to our community here in Southern California. And when you think about people, yes, that they may have gone to a relative's home thinking this is where we're going to be safe, and then the relatives have to evacuate.
That's right.
So we just hope everyone stays diligent, try to be as hopeful as you can, and we're going to try to walk everybody through this disaster till we get on the other side of it. And even when we're done, we're still going to be talking about it. And that's when it's really probably going to sink in for a lot of people.
I know, and a lot of people are relying on us, Pat, just sitting here throughout the day, receiving texts from friends. When they get an alert on their phone and they're not quite sure what's happening, they reach out to us. And we actually share that information with our viewers, and that helps everybody, because after we did that, I heard from other people who were in the same situation. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're
Thank you.
You know, doing what you need to do, but we all definitely are paying attention to what's happening out there.
Yes, we are.
All right, looting is also a big concern with all these evacuation orders in effect.
Yeah, it's sad to talk about that, but we have to. KCAL's Joy Benedict spoke with a homeowner in Sierra Madre who was hit by looters after she evacuated.
We're up here in Sierra Madre, and we've been talking a lot about the damage, unfortunately, for those who lost their homes. But there are many whose homes are still standing, and they had to deal with yet another problem, and that was looters. I mean, take a look at this door behind me, behind this road on Carriage House Road. This was shattered during the evacuation on Tuesday night. And I'm joined now by Kitty Johnson. This is your home. This is your childhood home.
Yes.
You guys evacuated when? On Tuesday?
Tuesday night. I stayed as late as possible, so about 9:30 at night.
What could you see at that point? Why did you make that decision to leave?
Well, it was coming over the mountain here, and the houses, I thought the houses across the street were on fire, but I guess it was just the bushes behind. And then a pine tree caught fire, and I had embers coming on me, and I thought, I think now's the time to go. So I got in my car and went through a little firestorm and raced out of here. So.
And then you got back when yesterday?
My brother came by about 8 o'clock in the morning and found that the glass had been shattered on the door, and went through, and there were some drawers open and whatnot. And so that's what we figured we'd get broken into.
I mean, you guys were just here cleaning up all the glass, and it is filled up that garbage bin. I can't even imagine how that feels to be running for your lives and then to realize that someone is taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, it's, you know, we're thankful the house is here. We don't think they got too terribly much, which, thank God. I mean, when you look across the street and there's houses gone, we're just so thankful what we have, and you know, that we can hopefully continue on. We're original homeowners and been here for 64 years, so.
And your home wasn't the only one that was looted?
No, our next door neighbor was too, yeah.
Do you know what the looters took or what the thieves got?
Over there, I heard from the officer that it was a couple soundboards. I think that's what they're called, I'm not sure, and maybe a little jewelry. I don't think they had much either, but don't quote me on that.
But certainly very tough, it feels very violating.
Yes, very much so.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are okay. I'm glad that your house is okay, and I'm sorry somebody did something so nasty during such a terrible time.
Thank you. Joy,
Chairman's
and
Mound.
This
thank you,
house
Gus.
is we moved here when it was brand new in 1960.
Well, I'm glad you still have it to live in.
Yes, thank you.
And unfortunately, that is what we're seeing a lot around here. We have two situations of homes being looted. There are several more across the street that unfortunately burned, and it's just a really tough week for so many on so many different levels. But certainly a situation will continue to follow out here and throughout the fire-affected areas. I'll send it back to you guys.
Well, making this firefight even more difficult, wind gusts are picking back up.
That's right, they're picking back up tonight, and KCAL meteorologist Evelyn Taft is tracking the conditions and is here now with your next weather forecast. Ev?
Pat, Juan, I mean, we are getting a look at windy conditions, wind advisories now through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The good news is we're pretty much through with the wind warning, so it's not nearly as windy as where we've been, but we're still, of course, looking at wind in the forecast. We're certainly not in the clear. So you're looking at wind advisories. This is the map that we're showing you right now. Again, we are looking at calmer wind speeds as we head into the next little bit here, but there is another uptick in winds, possibly overnight. And then again, as we head into next week, which I know we're getting a little bit of fatigue when it comes to the winds. Next week feels so far away after everything we've been through this week, but we really just have to stay vigilant over the days to come. Haven't seen anything, or not expecting anything quite like what we've seen the last couple of days. And I do want to go back and say those wind advisories are in effect, but we do actually have those wind warnings as well that are in effect for our mountains. So the area of concern for the warnings, it's actually going to be windier tonight in Orange County and the IE. Of course, we do have all eyes in parts of Ventura and LA counties tonight, but we are indeed also focusing on these areas because this is where we could see some of the strongest wind gusts tonight because it's more of a classic Santa Ana wind event heading our direction. So we've got 45 to 60 mile per hour winds in the valleys, the mountains 55 to 75 miles per hour. And we still have red flag warnings in effect through tomorrow. So there's still low humidity and high fire danger. So we're not in the clear, at least with this round of winds through at least tomorrow evening. Then things start to let up for us by the weekend, and then another round of winds potentially coming through next week. So again, this is your extended forecast, but just something to keep in mind. We really just have to keep sort of trudging on over the days to come because there is another round of wind coming in next week. And I want to remind you, we have seen barely any rain. I mean, this is our rainfall. It's been a really slow start to winter rains, only 0.02 of an inch. It's the driest winter we've seen since 1964. Usually by now, we get about 3.5 inches of rain, to put it into perspective. And if you remember this time last year, I certainly do, we were looking at downpours. I mean, we saw 2 back-to-back wet years, and now here we are with an extremely dry year. That's what we've been calling this whiplash weather. So we need a good soaking to really get us out of this. And we aren't seeing anything, at least in the short term forecast. As far as the long-term forecast goes, and again, this is long-term, so the accuracy isn't really fully there, but it doesn't look like we'll see anything wet until maybe later in January, which would be January 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Again, that is a very long-range forecast, but we just have to keep our fingers crossed that we will see something as far as precipitation goes, and hopefully something significant, but not the case anytime soon. So let's get a look at wind gusts right now. And we are looking at gusty conditions. You'll see a couple orange spots on your screen, and these are your problem areas as far as wind goes. Simi Valley, Santa Clarita, and again, we're actually seeing less wind coming through Eaton Canyon than in the 210 corridor and the Palisades into Malibu. Some gusts in Malibu at 20 miles per hour. So yes, I mean, certainly gusty, but just not as windy as where we've been, and not as windy as sort of that classic Santa Ana wind event we're experiencing tonight, where we're going to see wind gusts through the Santa Clarita Valley. We're going to continue to see wind gusts through the IE, through the mountains as well. You'll see Big Bear 28 miles per hour, for example. The Coachella Valley, I know a handful of people who are heading out there to sort of get a break from the wind and the air quality, but we certainly could see windy conditions even in the Coachella Valley tonight. So as we get a look at your wind futurecast, Orange County getting hit particularly hard through the Santa Ana mountain and foothill communities through this evening. Again, it is a classic Santa Ana wind event, and this is what we're expecting. So we could certainly see heavy wind pick up again above the 210 corridor into the mountains there along the 14, and we could see 50+ mile per hour winds through Thousand Oaks and West Hills and Oak Park and parts of Ventura County. We could get pretty gusty conditions tonight as well, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts overnight. So the wind will pick up. Again, it is calmer now compared to what we're expecting to see in the overnight and early morning hours. And we're really not catching a break until tomorrow. And even by tomorrow afternoon, we're still looking at a little bit of wind through the Ventura County area, through the low-lying areas, the Ventura County coastal plain there as well. But everybody else looking much calmer, 10 miles per hour or less. Air quality, of course, a big concern for a lot of us as we move through the day in the next couple of days. And you're seeing red on the screen, that red dot indicating very unhealthy air quality, green indicating good. So there are some spots through Ventura County actually still looking at pretty decent air quality at the moment, as the wind direction again is continuing to come in from the northeast. So you'll see everything sort of moving away from Ventura and LA counties, but in the basin, that's where we're starting to see some of the moderate air quality as well. And as we get a look at air quality by the numbers, pretty bad. So we'll continue to watch that for you. And of course, we're watching that wind. But for now, Pat, Juan, back to you.
All right, Evelyn, thank you. Local officials holding a news conference right now to provide an update on the destructive SoCal wildfires.
And let's listen in.
Alrighty, folks. I got you here. Chief McDonald, I got you right here. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. My name is Zach Seidel. I'm Deputy Mayor Communications for Mayor Bass. We're going to start with a brief update on the Kenneth Fire. We're going to hear from Mayor Bass as well as Chief Crowley of LAFD. Following that, Mayor Bass will come back to the podium and provide remarks. We'll hear from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, Senator Adam Schiff, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath, Sheriff Robert Luna, County Fire Chief Deputy John O'Brien, Fire Chief Crowley, PD Chief Jim McDonnell, followed by Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. As always, we appreciate people signing up for notifications at Notify LA. We are also joined by leaders throughout the state and federal government. We're joined by FEMA Regional Administrator Bob Fenton, Congresswoman Luz Rivas, Congressman George Whitesides, Congressman Brad Sherman, Congresswoman Laura Friedman, Congresswoman Judy Chu, Congressman Jimmy Gomez, Congressman Ted Lieu, also Assemblymember Rick Zabur, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, Assemblymember Jessica Caloza, Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, as well as Assemblymember John Harabian. We're also joined by Mayor of Santa Monica, Lana Negretti. Thank you so much, and Mayor Bass, I'll pass it off to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and let me just thank all of the leaders that are here with us today. I think it is a perfect example of how we are speaking with one voice. We will unify our city, we will get through this crisis, and we will rebuild a better Los Angeles. First and foremost, of course, my thoughts are with the thousands of Angelenos impacted by these continuing fires. There is a new fire, unfortunately, in West Hills, pushing into Ventura County, and we are expecting this fire to rapidly spread due to high winds. This is a reminder that this is a very dynamic situation that can change quickly. The priority for all Angelenos remains stay safe and please follow directions from the public safety officials. When you are told to evacuate, please evacuate. When you don't evacuate, you compromise the abilities of the first responders, one, to address this crisis. You put yourself in danger and you put others in danger. Again, we know that this is an active situation. LAPD will be assisting with evacuations, and I want to thank the firefighters from all over the state and frankly from many other areas who have come to respond to this unprecedented situation. Now, for an update on this most recent fire, I'd like to call Chief Crowley.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Crowley, Fire Chief of Los Angeles City Fire Department. We are now actively engaged in a new brush fire. We're calling it the Kenneth Fire in the West Hills area of Los Angeles on the border of Ventura County. This fire was over 50 acres upon arrival, with the potential for rapid growth over the next hour. Over 60 fire companies from the Los Angeles City Fire Department, LA County Fire Department, and Ventura County Fire Department were initially dispatched to the specific incident. Additional resources have been requested and are en route. The fire started in the city of Los Angeles and burned rapidly into the county of Ventura. Los Angeles County Fire Department and Ventura County Fire Department are in unified command. The LEFD is now an assisting agency. There are currently immediate evacuation orders in place south of Van Owen, north of Burbank, east of Valley Circle, and west of County Lane Road. An evacuation warning is in place west of Valley Circle, north of Saticoy, east of Woodlake, and south of Burbank. I will now be providing a quick update on the Palisades fire. Current acreage is 19,978. There are currently 5,316 structures that were damaged or destroyed. And unfortunately, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families. We do have a confirmed 2 fatalities that are now due to this incident. In closing, I want to make sure that we thank the residents of Los Angeles for remaining vigilant, and this new fire shows that we are absolutely not out of this extreme weather event. I personally want to take and show, I should say, my thanks and gratitude to all of our firefighters, our first responders, and for their families for all the sacrifices, their relentless efforts in battling this historic fire. And I should make that plural, historic fires. Next up, we're going to bring back the mayor. Mayor?
Thank you, Chief Crowley, for your leadership, and thank you for that update. We'll have critical updates on the state of this emergency broadly, including resources for Angelenos who have been impacted. Again, the priority of all Angelenos remains to stay safe and to follow directions from public safety officials. I was at the command post for the Palisades fire with Governor Newsom and other federal partners earlier today, and we talked about strategies to provide relief. First, I just got off the phone with President Biden, and right before this press conference, I also spoke to Vice President Harris earlier today. Earlier today, the president announced the federal government would pay for 100% of disaster response costs from the wildfires in this area. This is unprecedented because usually it is not 100%. As the FEMA Administrator Chris Wall will discuss, new resources are also available for impacted Angelenos to recover from this emergency. So thank you, FEMA Administrator, for being here today and for your continued partnership on behalf of the White House. Second, as you heard from the update from the county, at the Eaton Fire Post in coordination with the County of LA, we have requested the National Guard, along with the sheriff, and the county has implemented a curfew in all burn areas. And actually, let me correct that and say that the county is looking at a curfew, but has not implemented it yet. In Los Angeles, we have had evacuation orders in place in the Palisades and in Sylmar. Those evacuation orders have the force of a curfew, meaning you must leave and you cannot come back into the area, period. 24 hours a day. We have to protect the area, especially from those properties that remain. I've joined the sheriff in inviting the National Guard to take on non-emergency roles and provide us with resources to keep the burn area secure so that our frontline firefighters and police officers can focus on saving lives. So let me be clear, there's going to be zero tolerance for anybody that would be, I don't even know how to say this, but that would dare to enter houses or loot property or anything from the individuals or from structures that remain standing. I was with DA Hochman this morning, and he made it very clear that if anybody is involved in looting or any property damage, that he is ready to prosecute to the full extent of the law. So my team is in coordination with the Adjutant General who heads the National Guard, and I've spoken with the governor about the National Guard to take on specifically non-emergency roles to free up our firefighters and officers to do the life-saving work that they do in the city so that we are sure to have enough resources to surge our first responders so that they can focus on the life-saving work. Third, we're already looking ahead to aggressively rebuild. The city of Los Angeles will lead in this effort in the areas that are impacted by the city. We are going to clear the red tape and unnecessary delays and cost and headaches that people experience in ordinary times so that we can rebuild your homes quickly. We're going to clear the way to rapidly rebuild our neighborhood infrastructure, which means roads, sidewalks, street lights, and utilities. We will clear the way to rebuild and open our small businesses and provide assistance to make it through these closures. This is a massive effort, but we will be ready, and we will get the job done by turning away from the usual city system and moving forward in a new direction. LA has to be strong, united. We will reject those who seek, in this emergency, when lives are at stake and lives have been lost, we will reject those who seek to divide us and seek to misinform, because as evidenced by the leadership standing here today, we will be united. We will rebuild our city, and we will do whatever is necessary to get us past this crisis. And we can do that by being united. So let me just introduce our FEMA administrator, and I really want to thank her for coming here from Washington, D.C., obviously on very short notice, Deanne Criswell.
Thank you, Mayor Bass. First, I would just like to start by saying on behalf of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the entire Biden-Harris administration, our hearts go out to everybody who has been impacted by this truly tragic event. And I think as you heard Mayor Bass lay out her really aggressive vision for how you're going to rebuild, I just want you to know, Mayor, that we are going to be here with you along the way to help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger and more resilient. As the firefighters continue to bring in resources and support the suppression efforts for these fires, with the major disaster declaration, we now have the ability to begin having those conversations about recovery, as well as help the individuals who have lost everything jumpstart their road to recovery. If you live in Los Angeles County and you have been impacted by this disaster, you can register for FEMA assistance. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. That's the best way to get into our system and start that process. You should also contact your insurance company, because we will need that information as well as we start to work with you on your claim. Some of the things that you're going to be eligible for: if you incurred costs for temporary lodging as you evacuated, if you're going to need longer term lodging because you're displaced from your home for a period of time, if you need repairs to your home, we have some financial assistance that can help there. If you lost other things like a vehicle, we have some financial assistance. We know that everybody's situation is going to be different for each person. It's going to be unique to them. We want to be able to work with each of you individually to help you on that road to recovery, help you get to the right resources, whether it's FEMA resources, complementing what your insurance company may provide, or bringing in our nonprofit partners to help make sure that we have a holistic recovery for everybody that's been impacted. But we'll also work with you, Mayor, for things like temporary schools, temporary road repair if you need that, all these temporary measures that are going to be needed to help stabilize the community as you start to rebuild, and especially with the debris removal. And as President Biden announced, we're going to cover that debris removal and all of your emergency protective measures at 100% for 180 days, because we know it's going to take a long time to get that debris removal out. I think what I'll just say in closing here is we know that recovery is complicated, and for something as catastrophic as what I have seen so far here across Los Angeles, we know that this recovery is going to be complicated. But it is doable when we all come together with the city, the state, the federal government, our nonprofit partners. When we work together, as you can see behind us here, anything is possible, and we will help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger, Mayor.
Let me introduce now, and first of all, let me just say that the President Biden and Vice President Harris just could not have been more supportive, and various members of the cabinet. But let me introduce our Senator, Adam Schiff.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Thank you for bringing us all together, and thank you for your leadership. I want to begin also by acknowledging those that have lost their lives and lost their homes. I was on the phone much of the early part of the day talking to people that lost everything. And for so many, because of the nature of these fires, they not only lost their home, they lost their whole neighborhood, they lost their whole community. They lost their school and their place of worship. It's all gone. And I just want to express the heartbreak I know we're all feeling over those massive losses, unprecedented in our state's history. I also want to, as the mayor was alluding to, take this opportunity to thank the Biden administration for what they've done. Senator Padilla and I and the California House delegation, several of my colleagues here today, have worked to try to get a quick declaration of a disaster, to try to get the most we could in terms of federal match, and we could not have asked for more from the administration. The declaration was almost immediate. And as the mayor was saying, you're lucky normally to get 75% of a federal match. We learned today from the president, we're getting 100% federal match here. That's extraordinary. I talked to the president and the vice president today about both these issues and more and the needs ahead. And they could not have been more committed to making sure that California and Southern California get the resources and help they need. And I thank our FEMA administrator also for her work on this. Finally, I just want to say candidly, we are not through this by any means. We keep seeing these fires pop up in different places. We may see more before this is over. If you're told to evacuate, then get the hell out. You might think you can outrun a fire. You are not going to outrun these fires. You're just not. The way they are moving, the unpredictability of how they're moving, the swiftness with how they're moving, you are not going to outrun these fires. If you stay, you're going to die in them, and it's not worth it. So if you're told to evacuate, get the hell out. Save yourselves. You can rebuild because we are going to rebuild. We also, I think, have to be mindful of the risks that will follow these fires, and that is when the rains come and the risk of mudslides. So I say that because we need to know what we're looking forward to ahead. But I want to underscore finally what the mayor was saying also. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're Californians. We will bounce back from this. We will rebuild from this, rebuild our neighborhoods and our schools and our places of worship. We will come back from this. And once again, I thank all of you that are on the front lines of this, all of the first responders who are out there every day putting their lives on the line, doing heroic work. I'm grateful to all the other jurisdictions that are providing personnel and materiel. Just going through some of the fire areas earlier today, you see one truck from this county, another from that county, from all over the state, the country, and indeed other countries as well. So thank you to the first responders. Thank you, Mayor.
Before I bring up our supervisor, let me just acknowledge City Councilman John Lee. He wanted to be here today, but because of the latest fire, he went to that situation. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our West Hills, Hidden Hills, Calabasas residents are under evacuation order and evacuation warning for the Kenneth fire. As you heard, it just started over 2 hours ago, and at the rate of spread and the density of the communities in this area, it is serious. Please act swiftly, move quickly, evacuate now to protect your life, the lives of your community members, and the lives of our first responders. A shelter has been established at El Camino Real Charter School at 5440 Valley Circle in Woodland Hills. Continue to stay updated at emergency.lacounty.gov to ensure we can protect lives during this critical time. I've been in touch with most of the elected leaders in this area, and we are united in our commitment to keeping people safe. Our independent cities have lived through this before. They are resilient and they are strong, but they must stay informed. Your partnership is critical to our success in keeping you safe. To those impacted by these devastating fires, my heart is with you. The grief that we have witnessed out there is immense as we see homes and neighborhoods changed forever. And as the time goes on, it feels heavier. We are weary, but we will not break. The county is here for you, both in the crisis and on the road ahead. For my 3rd District communities impacted by Palisades, Sunset, and Hearst fires, the Pacific Palisades, due to the President's major disaster declaration, impacted community members can start applying for relief now. As you heard, please visit disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-FEMA to get started. For my residents in the Topanga Canyon, I've been in contact with Chief Maroney and Captain C2, and Topanga Canyon is the #1 priority for Palisades fire area today for them. Personnel, both aerial and on the ground, are being deployed to protect our Topanga Canyon communities, and we are here for you, and every resource is committed to you and your safety. To our residents in Malibu, be on alert for additional evacuation instructions due to the Kenneth fire. We know you are already suffering so much, and we are fighting even greater devastation. We are here for you. Santa Monica's curfew remains active from sunset to sunrise, and their evacuation orders are unchanged today. Santa Monica Mayor Lana Negretti is here with us this afternoon, and we stand strong with all Santa Monicans. Hollywood, the Sunset Fire is contained with no structures destroyed. All evacuation orders have been lifted. Please continue to stay alert and move with caution as you return to your homes. Crews are still working, so your safety is their and our priority. I want to especially thank Senator Schiff and FEMA Administrator Criswell for their support. Alongside many present here, I was able to join so many in visiting and learning from our extraordinary firefighters, our law enforcement officials, and first responders at the Palisades Fire Incident Command Post earlier today. They are digging even deeper, despite treacherous conditions and long hours. Help is on the way for them, but we know you will have our back until then. Shortly after that, President Biden called me personally to offer his additional support. His compassion knows no bounds, and his deep understanding of our pain means he has our back too. With that, I want to close in talking about the devastation that people are feeling. Mental health supports continue to be available through the county's Department of Mental Health, 800-854-7771. We have sent mental health professionals out to many of the shelter locations to ensure that while people are waiting, they are beginning their healing process and getting the support that they need. The Disaster Distress Helpline is also available for crisis counseling. You can call or text 800-985-5990. Our county is doing everything possible to respond to these fires and to work towards containment. But please continue to follow evacuation orders and stay vigilant. I know it is hard to walk away from everything that you have invested yourself in, but if you don't, it puts us all at risk. Please follow these evacuation orders. Take care of yourselves and each other. The only way we get through this is together. We will protect our communities and come through this stronger. And next, I'd like to introduce LA County Fire Chief, Deputy Chief John O'Brien.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John O'Brien, Chief Deputy of Emergency Operations for the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. Tonight, I'll start by giving an update on the Eaton fire affecting the communities of Altadena, Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Arcadia, and Monrovia. The Los Angeles County Fire Department remains in unified command with Pasadena Fire, Sierra Madre Fire, Arcadia Fire, the United States Forest Service, and CAL FIRE, as well as the Sheriff's Department and our local law enforcement agencies. The Eaton Fire is now over 13,609 acres and still remains 0% contained. We have 1,527 firefighting personnel assigned and mutual aid resources from across the state and nation arriving to assist with this fire. We have had several firefighter injuries reported and estimate that over 5,000 structures have been destroyed. This is based on aerial imagery that's been provided. We expect those numbers can change, either go up or down based on additional mapping of the fire, as well as when our damage inspection teams get out there and complete their thorough damage assessment of the burn area. We also had one firefighter injured today who sustained injuries battling the fire and is currently at a local area hospital. The cause of the fire is unknown and remains under investigation. As soon as the cause is determined, we'll be sure to get that information out to all. As Supervisor Horvath and Chief Crowley mentioned, the Kenneth Fire started just after 2:30 p.m. today in West Hills and has grown over 800 acres in that short period of time. We have a significant augmentation of ground and air resources assigned, with evacuations currently in the communities of West Hills, Hidden Hills, and Calabasas. Additional information will be provided as this incident develops, but I encourage all to be vigilant and visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest incident information. The number of resources assigned to this fire siege event has increased significantly, and we are in a much better position than we were earlier in the week. Out-of-state resources continue to arrive in Los Angeles County, and we are appreciative of our fire partners from throughout the western United States for providing assistance to Los Angeles County in our time of need. Regarding the current red flag warning, the National Weather Service predicts the warning will remain in effect for Los Angeles County and the majority of Ventura County through Friday, with another likely event impacting both counties earlier next week. I encourage all residents and communities to remain vigilant as we weather this fire siege together. And again, visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest information on all incidents. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the tireless efforts of my Los Angeles County Fire Department personnel and all the firefighters who are here assisting, both on the lines and those behind the scenes who continue to place themselves in harm's way to protect the residents and property of this great county. Thank you for always being there and continuing to be a safe and take care of yourself, those around you and the people who need us most. Thank you. And with that, I'll now turn it over to Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald.
Good evening. Los Angeles Police Department extends our deepest sympathy to those who've been affected by the devastating fire. Our community is facing significant challenges, and ensuring the safety and well-being of our residents is our #1 priority. The department is fully committed to protecting lives, property, and critical infrastructure during this crisis. I want to also, as you've heard, I don't know that we can thank enough the members of the LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, all of our fire partners, and then others that don't get recognition, the Department of Public Works, Department of Water and Power, so many others that are out there on the front lines and doing the job to try and restore order to everyone. There was a fatality reported earlier today around 10 a.m. Officers were notified of a death investigation in the 15,300 block of Friend Street in the Palisades area. LAPD investigators immediately notified LA Fire Department Arson and the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, who responded and determined the death to be fire-related. The LAPD and our law enforcement partners are actively maintaining law and order in areas impacted by the fires. Officers are patrolling these areas to try and deter criminal activity and ensure public safety. Protecting homes and businesses in the evacuated and vulnerable zones is our priority, ensuring no one takes advantage of a difficult situation. As the mayor said earlier, there will be zero tolerance for looting. Looting or exploiting this disaster will not be tolerated. Individuals caught looting or committing crimes in affected areas will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. There are no reports of looting at this time tonight. Our people remain vigilant, and patrols in burn areas have been increased to prevent and respond swiftly to such activities. To enhance public safety and allow first responders and recovery teams to work effectively, a countywide hard curfew is in effect or will be in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the affected burn areas. Anyone violating this curfew order or that will be in effect or the current evacuation order without valid reason may face legal consequences. The measure is essential to protect residents and support recovery efforts. The support of the National Guard is invaluable during this emergency, and we're thankful for that, enabling law enforcement to focus on crime suppression. The National Guard will be assisting in the following areas. Traffic control to maintain roadways and ensuring access to affected areas is restricted only to authorized personnel. Critical infrastructure security and checkpoints verifying credentials and restricting unauthorized entry into those protected zones. These measures may cause inconvenience to many, but they are necessary for public safety and community recovery. Residents are encouraged to report any suspicious activity to their local law enforcement agency. A united effort is key to ensuring a swift and secure recovery process for all. Law enforcement, the National Guard, and other first responders are here to support the community during this difficult time. The commitment remains steadfast in restoring safety and normalcy as quickly as we can. Cooperation and resilience from the community is greatly appreciated, and we're thankful for the cooperation that we've received to this point. Thank you. Let me now introduce, following me is LA Unified School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. I'm sorry. My mistake. Now my partner, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna. Thank you.
You forgot about me already. Just a quick overview. We have close to 500 sheriff deputies working throughout the county, working on evacuations, working on traffic control, both ingress and egress, and we are also working what we call looter suppression. It's unfortunate that we have to assign people to do that task, but we have behind that. In regards to resources, on the way to this press conference, our Northern Command made a request for 100 more deputies, or roughly 100 more deputies. So we are in the process, from a mutual aid perspective, of sending what we have internally and then requesting resources from counties around us as we are working, as you see and hear, many different priorities. Because this event continues and we continue to get new fires, the mayor mentioned it, Chief McDonald mentioned it. I've been working with the state in trying to estimate the California National Guard and how they would be utilized. We made the official request earlier today, and I'm happy to report that they have been staged and ready to go. They're going to get deployed to specific missions. The first missions will be at the Palisades fire, at the Eaton fire. They will be supporting the city of Los Angeles as well. Mayor Bass and Chief McDonald made that request to us. There are several other cities that have requested National Guard resources. The city of Santa Monica, the city of Pasadena, the city of Arcadia. And I'm sure as time goes on, there will be others. Our Emergency Operations Bureau will distribute not only mutual aid resources throughout the county as needed, and then we may have to redeploy people, whether it is police officers, deputy sheriffs, or National Guardsmen, as we see. And then the state, again, I can't say enough about the Office of Emergency Services and the support of Governor Newsom, who has basically called and said, what do you need? What else can we send you? I also received a call from Commissioner Sean DeRee from the California Highway Patrol. We have been utilizing their resources and using them through a mutual aid response throughout the county. I want to switch gears momentarily. You've heard the word curfew come up a couple of times. We as the county are in the process with our attorneys and our Office of Emergency Management of drafting that curfew paperwork. And as we're doing that, I cannot tell you if the curfew will be enacted tonight. The goal is for it to be enacted tonight, but once we get everything done, we may enact it tomorrow night. That being said, I want to make sure, and we've said it a couple of times, in the areas that have been evacuated, do not go in there unless you have specific business. And right now, the only people who have business in there are firefighters and law enforcement, or some kind of worker that's trying to put utilities back together for us. You will be detained. You will be arrested if you're doing there and you're up to no good. And as the mayor said, we've all talked to the district attorney, who says that they will prosecute without hesitation. So please make sure everybody understands that. And just going back to the curfew for clarification is not county-wide. The curfew will only take place in the impacted areas, specifically those areas that have had mandated evacuations. So, for example, in the city of Los Angeles, as they're requesting those National Guard resources, you're talking about the Palisades area. For us in Los Angeles County, it is also that Palisades, Malibu, Lost Hills area, and then the Altadena area. Pasadena, self-explanatory. Santa Monica, self-explanatory, and the other cities that are requesting the assistance. As you see, with all of our partners, from a mutual aid perspective, we are second to none anywhere in this country. Whether it is fire resources or it is law enforcement resources, we are able to depend on each other to make sure that we provide the best service we can to our community. Just the very last thing, if anyone has any questions about whether it's evacuations, mandatory, or warnings, or any traffic closures, go to lacounty.gov/emergency for updated information. Thank you very much. And with that now, I will bring up the superintendent. We didn't forget about you.
Thank you.
Whether it's evacuations, mandatory, or warnings, or any traffic closures, go to lacounty.gov/emergency for updated information. Thank you very much. And with that now, I will bring up the superintendent. We didn't forget about you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Luna. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership. I would like to also thank the city leaders, county, state, and federal entities who have been responsive, who have been supportive and collaborative during very trying times. Today, we closed all schools in Los Angeles Unified School District, and we announced earlier today, because of a detailed examination of scientific data, wind trends, and the continuity of these awful fires, that would be prudent to announce early on the closure of all schools going into tomorrow, January 10th. We made this decision after reviewing, first and foremost, air quality data. Fires may be far away from some communities where we have schools. However, winds are transporting particulate matter, smoke, and ashes across the entire district. And yes, we celebrate when the winds subside, because that allows more effective combating of fires. But when the winds subside, often that cloud of smoke lingers over certain communities. When the winds pick up, obviously the fires explode, creating more smoke. Smoke for us is the enemy, as it compromises the air quality around our schools. We opened 8 feeding centers, grab-and-go food distribution centers across our community. We will increase that to 16 centers across Los Angeles Unified. We recognize that when we close schools, there are a lot of parents who depend on our schools not only for nutrition, but also for child supervision. That is why we partner aggressively, and I am indebted to the YMCA for opening 30 sites providing child supervision with enrichment activities at no cost to the residents of our community. So tomorrow, our students will continue in a continuity of learning methodology relying on digital resources available to them. We also recognize that some areas of our community are struggling with power, with electricity, obviously not being able to perhaps have connectivity or electricity for their devices. That is why at our regional centers we have packets of instructional materials for all grade levels and subject areas for those families that may need them. For tomorrow, not only are our schools closed, all extracurricular activities and athletic activities previously scheduled have also been canceled. Reopening the school system is not an easy process, particularly after a crisis like this one. We need to do indoor and outdoor cleaning, the replacement of filters. That's why I want to thank in advance our workforce, particularly SEIU 99, the Teamsters, everyone involved in the replacement of filters and the cleaning process in advance of our students and our staff returning to our schools. We will be examining the data tomorrow and into the weekend before making a decision about conditions as we head into Monday. I don't need to say what has been said. This is a set of unprecedented circumstances. At no point in the history of our community or perhaps the country have we had fires simultaneously happening, not one, multiple serious fires simultaneously occurring, wrapped around hurricane-level force winds. I come from a place where hurricanes are a constant, but there's no fire associated. So this is a real threat. I want to thank the first responders that are working tirelessly in our community, and we will be bringing information to our community, which can also be accessed on www.lusd.org. Unas palabras en español. Quiero primeramente agradecer a nuestra alcaldesa, la señora Bass.
All right, you've been listening to a press conference given by, among others, that's LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Carvalho there, saying that all LAUSD schools will be closed as well tomorrow due to air quality. Even schools that aren't in the impacted fire area are susceptible because of all of the smoke and ash that's been blown around in the community. And of course, they are updating this Kenneth fire, and then as we last heard, 960 plus acres are burning in the Kenneth fire. They are making some headway, it looks like, but then again, you know, there's still concern about those winds picking up overnight. They also talked about a curfew.
That's right. Sheriff Luna was saying that they're hoping to get a curfew in place in the areas affected by the fires, because right now the only people that should be in the evacuation zones are fire personnel, law enforcement, and any utility that may be there to reestablish phone connection, internet, Wi-Fi, power if you've lost power as well.
Those are the mandatory evacuation areas.
That is correct. And if it goes into effect, he was saying earlier today, it would be from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. the following day. So a 12-hour shutdown, basically a curfew in these areas.
We also had an update from LA City Fire and, of course, Ventura County. We heard from newly elected Senator
Adam Schiff.
Talking about the problems with looting, and if they catch anyone looting, of course, they will be brought under the color of the law, basically. Also, updating our acreage as far as the Palisades fire, 19,978, I believe, 5,016 structures damaged or destroyed. 2 more deaths discovered in the Palisades fire today. We're going to go back to the presser and Mayor Karen Bass.
Let's go back.
Do you have enough resources? How many firefighters have
And I'm going to answer that in part, but then, of course, I'm going to defer to our police chief that we have been fortunate with mutual aid, with support coming from basically all over the country. And in fact, I was with the governor earlier, Canada is sending support. And I think that we have seen this. We have certainly seen Los Angeles City and County firefighters deployed around the country. Let me acknowledge Freddie Escobar, who is the head of the firefighter union. So just as we have provided mutual aid, I'm getting calls from some of my former colleagues in Congress who are now governors of state who have offered to send people. So I think we have been rich in support. I don't know if we ever have enough resources, but Chief, let you take it from there.
I would love to start with that. So thank you so much for asking about our first responders and our partners. So take a deep breath, and I think about what our firefighters, first responders have been able to do. You look at the multiple fires, the fires keep coming. Our firefighters are working to the highest efforts. I've never seen this in my 25-year career, and I can tell you, as a chief, I can stand strong. I can tell you that LEFD and the rest of our regional partners, our firefighters, boots on the ground, are absolutely tired, but I tell you, they will never, ever give up. They will continue to work hard. They will continue, and we will continue to work to make sure that we're saving as many lives and saving as many properties as we can.
With everything they've been through, though, the problems that we've been hearing from homeowners with water, with the 3 tanks that DWP supplies in that area running out.
Right.
Is that system fixed? Can you assure residents that those hydrants are again going to be working and that's going to be online? Residents are worried that there's a problem preventing you from stopping this fire. We're still at 0% containment.
Sure. What I can tell you first and foremost, one of the biggest assets right now is our air assets. They're in the air. You can see them. We're watching the news just like you. We're talking with everybody, boots on the ground, and the community members. That is one of the biggest key factors right now, especially with Palisades, is our air resources are running and they're dropping water and retardant, which is a huge asset for us. When it comes to the basic fundamentals of water supply and hydrants, I can tell you our firefighters are trained, and in many brush fires, we run out of water, and we anticipate that because of the supply demand. There's so many firefighters tapping into a limited supply of water. We're going to anticipate we're going to run out of water. But I tell you, with firefighters, we do train to that fact. We'll figure out a way to either draft waters out of pools, ponds, whatever it may be, and also utilize additional resources out there with water tenders that carry thousands of gallons. So what I can tell you, the firefighters are doing their very, very best. I promise you that. And also the air assets are a huge, huge thing that we're utilizing right now that'll help Palisades.
Is there a problem with the hydrant system? That's what homeowners are wondering.
Right now, we're not utilizing the hydrants.
Okay. And Mayor Bass, if I may just ask one more question. You just got back, and there's some national criticism that you've seen. You say we need to stand together, but there have been calls for your resignation. There's a change.org petition. What do you say to those criticisms coming at you?
Let me say, actually, first of all, let me finish on the firefighters, because everything the chief said, of course, I support. But there was one thing you didn't mention, and that is that while our firefighters are out there fighting fires, they also have had loss as well, whether it's their homes or property. And while they're going through what a lot of people are in these neighborhoods, they're having to fight fires. And let me just say, because I answered some questions like that in the morning, and let me just state now. Number one, these fires are burning now. Our job is to make sure that people stay alive, that we save lives, that we save homes, that we save property. And I also said that when the fires are out, we will do a deep dive. We will look at what worked. We will look at what didn't work, and we will let you know. Until then, my focus is on the TV screens behind you that are showing devastation that has continued. Thank you. Answered it in the morning, answered it now, won't answer it again.
Next question to Dakota.
Oh, sure. In terms of President Trump, when he takes office, can you reverse any of the
Oh, well, let me just say.
We did pick up our press conference, and we left off with Mayor Bass, who was addressing some questions from reporters, and her answer as to why she wasn't, why she has been receiving criticism on these fires. Her answer was, well, that number one, the fires are happening right now, and the job of the city is to ensure that lives and property are saved. We will download, and I'm just paraphrasing, what happened on day one when she wasn't here at a later moment, but right now they're focusing on saving lives and property. Chief Kristen Crowley said that the biggest asset right now are the water dropping assets, those choppers and those fixed wing aircraft who have been making a big difference in fighting these fires. And we do have a new fire that has broken out. That's the Kenneth Fire that's burning at over 960 acres right now. But I want to bring in Mike Rogers in particular, because when we talk about those firefighting assets from the air, Mike, we also have seen some problems with other aircraft that have nothing to do with what our firefighters are trying to do.
And the aircraft that you're, excuse me one second, Pat, the aircraft that you're talking about.
Okay.
Sorry
Mike's
about that.
fixing his, you got your mic?
Yeah, may have needed battery change there. The aircraft that you're talking about, Pat, is a drone, right? There's a drone, which, by the way, is illegal to fly in these fire areas and wildly unnecessary. Your drone is not doing anything to help stop these fires. You want to get some video of it. I understand the scenes are dramatic, but it is wildly unnecessary. And now we are down a firefighting asset because, according to the LA Times, a super scooper hit a drone today. A super scooper carries a tremendous amount of water and is so critical to the firefight and is now out of service. And I first noticed this because earlier today when the fire you're looking at right here, the Kenneth Fire broke out, one of the super scoopers came up. The super scoopers always fly in pairs. It's always two of them, and they come into this and scoop up the water and then they drop it. And that didn't happen. There was only one. And that was unusual to me, and that was weird because I always see them flying as a pair. Now we know it's because this morning over the Palisades fire, a super scooper hit a small drone. And according to the LA Times, has a hole in the wing now as a result of it. Not only is it offline, that is so wildly dangerous. That could have brought down that aircraft and could have been a whole other calamity and disaster that we would be dealing with, all because somebody wanted to get some video of the destruction area. And that's just so inappropriate and illegal and very expensive if they can find the person who did that.
You know, you just said that, wanting to get pictures of the destruction. You wonder if it was someone who lives in the area and we wanted to check on their home. Okay, but at the same time, and we don't know if that's the case or not, but regardless, it's still illegal to do so. And for those very reasons that you mentioned, we are now down a firefighting asset.
And an important one that, by the way, isn't ours. We borrow those from Canada. They come down to help us out. And now one of them is out of service with a hole in its wing, which is not an easy repair, by the way, because somebody wanted to fly a drone. And, you know, the super scoopers, yes, all the firefighting aircraft, they get relatively low to the ground to be able to drop these things off. But still, the drone had to be a decent distance in the air to be able to make contact with a super scooper, because the super scoopers fly pretty, you know, at a decent height because of their fixed wing aircraft that is really huge. So really unfortunate that that's what we're dealing with right now. And for anybody else that is interested in flying a drone, I just talked to the FAA about this. The FAA can fine you $75,000 for flying a drone in a restricted area. And I can bet you that if they were able to find this person, they most certainly will do that. I mean, look, our aircraft, SkyCal, is obviously much bigger than a drone, but we are outside of the flight restriction zone as well. We want nothing to do with interfering with the firefighting operations. So it's a federal crime punishable by 12 months in prison to interfere with firefighting efforts. And additionally, they can impose that $75,000 civil penalty against you for operating a drone inside of a TFR. And again, we've lost an important firefighting asset because of this now. And it'll take a while to fix it if it's got a hole in the wing.
Well, that's, I'm glad that we're talking about this, Mike, because it's a very dire situation, and people hopefully they're listening and understanding the detriment that this kind of situation brings. You know, no matter why you're trying to find out information, everybody would like to find out information, I'm sure, if they haven't been able to check on their homes. So we don't really know the gist of what this was, but at the same time, it's illegal, it's dangerous, and now we have this big issue.
Very big issue. And again, those super scoopers just can do so much tremendous work, and now there's one less available to us.
Okay, well, we have to talk about it, and we will remind people throughout the evening of what's happened there. Now, we do have some pictures, I believe, from our Lauren Posen, who is actually on her way to the Kenneth Fire, and she did send us something using FaceTime. So let's see what she has to say.
I'm Lauren Posen, and we are tracking the Kenneth Fire for you. We just left the Woodland Hills, West Hills, Bell Canyon area. Right now we are in Agoura. I'm going to flip the camera so you can see we're on the side streets here. You can see some of the haze on the mountains there. The firefighters tell us back over in the West Hills area that the fire has shifted because of the winds, which is good news for the West Hills, Bell Canyon, Woodland Hills area, but not so great news for the communities further north, like Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village, and Agoura. That's why we're heading this way. The command post is set up over at the Calvary Church, and that is where we are headed. The firefighters tell us that the fire seems to be following the burn path of the Woolsey fire, which is positive in a sense because things are already burned, but the negative part of that, of course, is that there's still homes that can be impacted. So we are on our way to the command post first, and then we're going to get our feet on the ground and assess and see what's going on. There are some mandatory evacuations as well, so we're going to be looking to talk to those people as they are leaving. And we will continue to have updates for you on KCAL News.
All right, we really appreciate that from Lauren and look forward to hearing from her a little later. But right now, we're going to take these live pictures from SkyCal over the Kenneth fire and the fire line and bring in our Mike Rogers to tell us what he knows right now in terms of what kind of progress they're making.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pat, it looks a lot better. I mean, SkyCal's kind of panning around here. Not a ton of active flame left. I'm going to ask Oliver to look and see if he can help us find anything that might be left. But they have been doing some really, really good work here with the night dropping helicopters. There you see one now kind of pushing through the area. They're, looking through the ravine. You've got some of these hot spots. There you go. There's a water drop right there. And you've got some of these hot spots that they've been really kind of focused on here. And that's really, I think, Oliver, if you give us a wider picture here, you see the little glows, the embers here and there, not a ton of active flame. At this point, I'll have Ollie push back into that one spot where you were just looking at, where you see the fire there, and he'll show us that. And you can see that there is some of that left, but the good news, and you see, okay, so look at that too. Oliver, go to your left a little bit. You've got the flashlights walking through there. Those are the hand crews that are doing that really, really backbreaking work of getting up in there and, trying to dig lines manually with those pickaxes and different things like that. So that is a group of them that you see walking through the bushes right there.
Yeah, that's to the left of that. They're approaching.
Right. Yeah, it looks like they're probably walking up a trail or something here to be able to get into that. But
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and they're back there. I mean, those wildland fire crews are really something else, and they do a really, really good job of getting in there with chainsaws and pickaxes and clearing the brush. And those are the guys that really get in there, the men and women that really get in there and harden those containment lines to make sure this doesn't go any further. And as we kind of pull out, you can see a couple of different sets of them there. And then, of course, you've got the night dropping helicopters that are doing that work as well to drop some water on it. So certainly a much better situation. The last number we got was, I believe, 790 acres here. And then as we watched this helicopter do another water drop there on the hot spots. So certainly a much better situation than we were in earlier. As the Kenneth fire, and I need to correct myself, 960 acres on the Kenneth fire there as it burns. Now, those evacuation orders are still in place. We had heard a little bit earlier that the ones in West Hills, which is the city area, have been lifted, but the main ones here that are still in the Hidden Hills area, the Mountain View community, Calabasas, those are all the mandatory evacuations, and then you've got the Agoura Hills ones that are voluntary. And I'm going to check the Ventura County evacuations really quick here, but last time I checked, the Oak Park and the Bell Canyon orders, yes, are still in place, and those are voluntary at this point. So the good news is, though, another community has been spared, it appears, by our really good work of the fire crews out there. So really, really good news that they're able to do that. That's a dozer down there as well. So in addition to those hand crews, that dozer is cutting lines there to be able to stop the keep containment on the fire and keep it from spreading any further. So really good news at that. I'm going to ask Oliver to zoom out or pull out and look at the Palisades fire, because the area that we were sitting in here, we were able to actually see both fires.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of calls, and the reason I'm asking him to do this is because I got a lot of tweets and some messages from people that are in the Encino area that were concerned because they could see the fire, the glow of the fire, of the Palisades fire, coming over the Encino area. But look at this, Pat. I'm not seeing any of that.
I'm in awe.
And that is such good news. I mean, the firefighters really used today to really, try to get the good containment lines on these fires. So the good news is as Oliver's panning around, here we go. Oh, there's the Palisades fire. Sorry about that. He was looking at a different mountaintop.
I have to say, that was remarkable.
Yeah. So there is, but look, I mean, we're not seeing those huge towering flames like we were before. We are seeing, definitely some hot spots, definitely some spots that need some work, but certainly a much better picture than we have seen over the last few nights. And anytime you see it, more of those embers, and we're getting a little bit of a skid in the shot, so bear with us there. But anytime you see some of those embers like that, it's certainly better. But definitely still, these hot pockets that they're dealing with in the canyons. there. And that's the nature of the topography of the Santa Monica Mountains. There's just so many canyons kind of in and out that they have to deal with, and it just takes a while to do this.
Ask you a question.
Yeah.
Several, but let's start with this one. That shot that you showed us of the Kenneth Fire, can we pinpoint exactly where that is?
Yeah, Ollie, let's go back to the Kenneth Fire, and if you can put up the street overlay for us so we can tell our viewers exactly what part of the area is still burning. So he's going to spin the camera back around and give us a second. It's a little dark up there and, easy to get disoriented when you're up that high in the sky. So give him just a second. He's going to do that. But it looks like it's kind of in the area of right above the Mountain View community where it was burning. So this is kind of going to be the southwestern portion of the fire. There we go. So Crummer Canyon Road is where it's kind of burning. And again, you see just the hot spots there. So there's not a ton left. And let me look where Crummer Canyon is really quick, and I'll give you some kind of more major cross streets. But according to our map tracker, Crummer Canyon Road is where that is still burning. And that's actually going to be, so that's actually going to be between the communities of Hidden Hills and Mountain View. And this is the Malibu Canyon north of the 101 freeway here. Basically, your bigger cross there is going to be Moray Road. I'm not saying that right, and
Moreau.
I apologize. Moreau Road and Mountain View Drive, kind of in that area. So there's a ravine there. And I'm going to ask, I think Mike Parrott's in the booth, if we can look at my computer really quick, Mike, because there we go, thanks. I want to show our viewers here. So this is the area that we're looking at here. And there was this ravine that the fire started to kind of push down into, which is kind of into this area. So that's where he's looking at. So this was the latest kind of fire print of it, but I think that's a little bit outdated at this point because the fire did start to push down into here. And so when you look at Crummer Canyon Road, where Oliver's looking, that is where I'm circling in the map right here in the red. So it's kind of in this area, and then you've got it still burning a little bit over in here too, which is going to be closer to Elijah, and then you get further to the west, and you have Las Virgenes Road. So that is kind of where it's at right now, and but doing a good job of keeping it in check.
Well, it's really, and I'm surprised because the shot that Oliver showed us really just before that press conference started, we saw a lot more fire. We saw way more flames, and now you really have to look for them.
Right.
People are still texting me about containment. I haven't heard that.
I don't think there is any containment yet. I think everything is still at 0. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's still technically at 0. You know, we should point out that containment and flames are not the same. Like, that doesn't mean the same thing, right? So just because we're not seeing any flames doesn't mean that it's contained, right? Containment is the actual physical lines that they are able to put around the fire. So just because we're not seeing any intense flames doesn't mean it's contained. It's out or contained, right? Yeah. So containment is just the physical hard line that they're able to put around the fire to make sure that the fire will not go outside of those lines. So that is what a containment is, and that is what they are still working on. That's what we saw those hand crews doing and those dozers. They're working to build the containment lines.
Okay, I knew you had all the incidentals that we need to know and to share with our viewers. But again, this looks so much better than it did just even less than an hour ago.
Oh, 100%.
So great work, and we know they are still out there working, as they are in the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire.
Yep.
You know, well, this is a good time, Mike, to bring in Evelyn Taft, our meteorologist, our all-knowing meteorologist. You know, Ev, we want you to walk us through what we can expect later this evening.
Yep.
And I don't want to be, I'm not a Debbie Downer, but what we want to do is just set a story or set the scene where we know we can have fires that look like, oh, they look great right now. However, it doesn't take a lot to spark a fire from something, well, from a spark, put it that way, right? From an ember.
From an ember.
Okay, so I'm not trying to sound an alarm or a siren, but I just want to make sure we get the pertinent information that we should store.
Absolutely, and Pat, I'm so glad you said that because it's really about staying vigilant because anything can change at any time. The wind can pick up, an ember can fly, a new fire could break out. And here's the thing, I mean, we're looking at another bout of wind coming in tonight. So this is actually calm compared to where we're going to be at later. So it's great to see when we do get a handle on a fire, but of course we just have to continue to stay vigilant. And the wind will start to pick up tonight. So I'm going to show you those numbers, tell you about those numbers in a moment. We're still looking at red flag conditions through tomorrow evening. We're still looking at high wind warnings. We're still looking at wind advisories. And we do get a lull after tomorrow, but then we're expecting to see another bout of wind next week, which seems so far from now. It's really feels so far. And I know we get fatigue when we get storm after storm or windstorm after windstorm or Santa Ana wind event after wind event, fire after fire. But we could see another couple days of maybe pretty healthy Santa Ana winds even next week. And here's the part we haven't even discussed. Of course, all eyes near Calabasas right now as we're looking at almost 1,000 acres burned in the Kenneth fire. But we are actually looking at a bullseye over the IE in Orange County as far as wind goes tonight. We could start to really see that wind pick up in the overnight hours. So we're going to continue to watch it. We're going to wrap this up right now, but I'll have more updates coming up in a little bit. Pat, back to you.
All right, thanks so much for that, Evelyn. And now we want to go to our Ross Palumbo. He is live with Sheriff Luna at the Emergency Center. Hey.
Hey, Pat, you know, we just did that massive press conference, and one of the surprising announcements that we heard the mayor vaguely mention and Sheriff Luna went into more detail about was this curfew that you want to go into effect in these burned out areas. So where are we in the process? I just want to be really clear. It's not in effect right now, is it yet?
No, it is not. But the purpose of the curfew is to make sure that the residents that are being evacuated feel confident that their properties are being protected. It's an extra layer of protection. So a lot of the residents are saying, please do this. So Supervisor Barger has come to us, and we looked at it strategically. We felt it was a right direction to go. Where we're at right now is County Council is preparing the paperwork. I've seen the latest draft. We're going to forward it to the other agencies like the Los Angeles Police Department. We want to do this together so it's more effective. When it takes place, it'll mean that at 6 p.m. at night, no one can enter these specific areas until 6 in the morning.
Are we talking about this could possibly go into effect later tonight, or is this going to be tomorrow and beyond?
I'm hoping we can do it later on tonight, but it's doubtful. I'm probably looking more at tomorrow night. But again, it's for the purposes of keeping people who don't belong in these mandated evacuation areas out of there, because we've arrested people, unfortunately, for burglarizing homes in those areas.
You know, I want to talk about the looting very quickly, Sheriff, if I may, because the LAPD chief said that they have not had any incidents. How bad has it been? We haven't personally seen anything. Are we talking of extreme looting already? How bad has it been so far?
When we're talking about looting, it's not like sometimes you see on video where you see, 50 individuals running into a store to grab things. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, or 4 people who are casing some of these neighborhoods, going in, burglarizing homes, and taking loss. And yes, we've made arrests throughout the county and the affected areas for this, and our deputies have relayed stories of us where they're actually preventing people, they're stopping people who can't tell you why they're there. They definitely don't live there, so we don't want that to occur.
It's a problem already. You're seeing it.
It is an absolute problem, and I'm going to tell just your viewers, if you're thinking about going up there to commit a crime, you're going to get caught. And I talked to the DA earlier today, and he is going to prosecute to the full extent of the law. Do not hurt these people more than they're already hurt.
It's despicable and unimaginable. Before I let you go, let me ask you about your deputies. Everyone is so happy to see them in a crisis like this. They're doing a wonderful job. I've seen them out there. How are they holding up?
You know what? They are amazing people. The work they're doing, the humanitarian work they're doing, we're hearing amazing stories. But we're working them. Some of them are working 16, 18-hour shifts. But you know what? I haven't heard one complaint from them. They want to be here. They want to help these communities. This is unprecedented, and they're a part of it. And they're doing exactly what they raise their right hand to do, and that's to serve.
Okay, well, we'll wait for more details on the curfew, possibly tonight, probably tomorrow. We'll have the latest.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, always wonderful to talk to you. Thanks for all your service, man. Thank you. So, Pat, you just heard it. The curfew could possibly go into effect later tonight. Unlikely, most likely tomorrow. Of course, we'll have all the details on that. And just one more thing, Pat. We talked to the fire chief and the sheriff. They're working so hard out there. If you see a firefighter, if you see a deputy, if you see a police officer, give them a hug too, because it is hard. You've been on these fires just like me, Pat. You know, it is hard work for everyone involved. The loss is extreme, and we're all just trying to get through the crisis.
No question about that, Ross. And I heard mention during the press conference the care for the firefighters themselves, and Yes, I'm sure you do. I certainly know personally firefighters who are away from their families trying to make sure that all of us are safe. So yes, we do appreciate that. And I'm going to say something, it's kind of humorous right now, but maybe it's needed. Lauren Posen talked to us last night, and she was talking with some firefighters, and they said, we appreciate you wanting to help us, and we appreciate the granola bars, but quite frankly, we would like some protein. So you know what? Give them a hug, give them a piece of chicken or a steak, Ross.
That'll all be appreciated, I promise you. Hey, let me just tell you one more thing. After the press conference, I spoke with Chief Crowley specific about that hydrant problem again, and she says there is no problem that she believes is happening. I asked her also about the staffing for the Palisades fire because there are allegations that those budget cuts deeply impacted it. She said that is not what happened, but I also talked to the president of the Firefighters Union, and he contends that it is in fact happening. So we're going to track that down and speak more with him.
Okay.
We need all the firefighters we can have up there, and we'll get back to you.
Certainly. All right. Thanks so much for that, Ross. And we have some important information now from our Lauren Posen. She has just arrived at the Kenneth Fire, and we are anxious to hear what you have to tell us about that, Lauren. We appreciate your FaceTime earlier, but since you have arrived, what can you tell us? What do you see?
Yeah, well, Pat, we are here in Calabasas, right down the road from Mountain View Estates on Muir Road. And this fire, it's hard to see from our vantage point, but it's right behind us here. All these people you see here have been evacuated. They cannot go into their homes. We're near Malibu Canyon. This woman that's walking by here, her cat's in her house. She can't go get her cat. People are very anxious. You know, Pat, in talking to people out here, this is bringing back a lot of memories of that Woolsey fire for a lot of people here. And I want to show you over here on Muir Road, right down from Mountain View. Look at all these fire engines here. They are here. The amount of support to fight these fires, it's amazing how many firefighters I've seen. Now I want to show you, I want to talk to these two gentlemen over here.
Evacuate.
This is Eric.
Hi.
And Eric actually has been evacuated, and he has been helping people the last couple days with the Palisades fire, and now he's being impacted. Nico, his house burned down in the Palisades fire. He's also been helping people. Eric, I'm going to start with you. Tell me about the situation here in Calabasas and what you're seeing. And did you see the fire? What did you see?
Here in Calabasas, we saw the fire. We had a high vantage point to watch it. We've been fighting the Palisades fire for the last 3 days. My house burned down in the Woolsey, which is why I'm so adamant about helping people and saving lives. I feel like we're doing God's work. A lot of people need help and needed assistance. They get lost, disoriented, and don't make the right decisions. They're going the wrong direction, and I advise everybody to stay out.
And even if the fire's not coming to you and you can get out, you should get out. This gets into your bronchioles, your alveoli. You want to get out of this as soon as you can. It's not the fire that kills people, it's also the smoke. So don't try to run in and save possessions. Your life is worth way more than your property. That's all I want to let you know. Love, peace, respect.
Yeah.
And Eric, tell me about your situation here. So is it your girlfriend's apartment or apartment you share together?
Yeah, we share. And her cat's still in there, and all of our equipment, and some of my neighbors are telling me, hey, can you go get some of my stuff? Can you check on my animals? And we're completely blocked off. We can't go do anything. They've stopped us. We don't want to get arrested. And we're just doing our best. We're in the back of Las Virgenes, and we got this far, and that's as far as we can go. We just advise everybody to stay as safe as possible. Save your life, not your property.
There's an elderly dude we can help.
All right, thank you, Eric. Okay, okay, they're going to go help some. Okay,
more people. God bless everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Pat, you know, we have good citizens here just trying to help people. Everyone is just really coming together. I did check moments before coming on here. The fire is at about 800 acres. The issue with this fire in particular is it's basically burning behind Hidden Hills. And, you know, because it started in West Hills there. And so that whole brush area is a danger zone. On the plus side, a fire captain told me it's burning on the path of the Woolsey fire. So in a sense, it's good because that land's already, you know, been burned. But that doesn't mean we're out of the danger zone because there's so many homes. I got to show you over here. Look at these lights over here. I mean, again, these are all the people just waiting to get word. You know, it's just moment by moment here because, you know, these fires are so unpredictable.
All right, Lauren.
Isn't too
we
bad
still
right
have
now,
you.
which is really positive. We want that. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, I'll send it back to you. But we're going to be out here all night, and I'll have another update for you, Pat, at 7.
Yeah, what happened, Lauren? We just lost your audio for a minute there, and I know that area very well, and you're absolutely right about that. In the Woolsey fire, a number of trees that were charred right there on Muro Road, where you are. You could see that for several years after the Woolsey fire. They hadn't grown back yet. The bark was still blackened. So can certainly understand why they are fearful. That whole area there. I think you're butting right next to Hidden Hills. If I'm not if I'm not mistaken, Muro Road actually is right by the Round Meadow Gate, and it traverses around to Las Virgenes.
Yep.
So, and very happy to hear from those young men there that are trying to help people. And we want to give them as much information, and I know you will too, and keep us posted on what's happening. We did talk to Evelyn about the winds, and we're going to bring her back in too, just to give us more of an update, because I think that's what people are really worried about, Ev, is just...
You're going to make me cry.
Hi, Evelyn? Oh, yeah, dear. Okay.
You know, I'm just getting this a human interest story coming in from the fire line. I'm so sorry. You know, there's just so much going on, and a firefighter out there fighting one of these fires, and then somebody on social media actually saying, that's my house, and he wasn't able to save it. And this might be a story for another time, Pat, but really just bringing tears to my eyes, because he's saying, you know, basically, I want to take this firefighter out to dinner once this is all said and done. So.
Yeah, make sure they have protein.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have another friend actually reaching out to me trying to offer up protein for the firefighters. So maybe that's something we could talk about. But, you know, just while we're live on the air, you know, we're all hearing from so many people. We're all affected here in the newsroom. You know, Pat, you're affected today. I was affected yesterday with evacuations. But there is somebody, a chef here in LA, Joe Bastianich. And he is trying to donate food to the firefighters. So if there's any way we can figure out how to do that, we should try to make that happen.
Okay.
Because he will have protein. I was just looking him up, and definitely there might be some protein involved there, Pat.
All right.
Might not just be a bar. But I do want to get a look at current conditions right now in Calabasas, because the wind will pick up tonight. It will pick up tonight. As we get a look at wind speeds, you will see 32-mile-per-hour wind speeds, 29-mile-per-hour wind speeds. That's what I'm looking at right here on my forecast map near Calabasas, and it's only getting windier. So we are getting a little lull right now, and we will take every lull we can get in the wind, because that's really what's driving the flames. And of course, the relative humidity, because it has been absolutely dry, just in the single digits and the double digits across Southern California. The good news, it's not warm, and that's usually the third ingredient when it comes to fire, and we haven't seen really warm conditions. In fact, it's been downright chilly. We are getting a look at the hot spots over Calabasas right now, and temperatures currently in the 60s. It has been a really cool night, mild night, so that's working in our favor. But certainly wind, you know, set to pick up a little bit. And as I get a look at your futurecast over the overnight hours, it's really what we call our hour-by-hour forecast. And I'm taking a look at the 11 p.m. hour tonight, because that's when things start to pick up, and we could start to get 30 to 40-mile-per-hour winds, and potentially up to 50-mile-per-hour winds. And this is what we were afraid of, because of course this is more of a classic Santa Ana wind event tonight. And because of that, because it's more of a northeasterly event, Ventura County is certainly threatened. And of course, the border there, anywhere near Calabasas, as we head into Woodland Hills, Bell Canyon, Oak Park, that's where we're looking at some of the really worst wind conditions tonight, along with the 210 corridor, above the 210 corridor right there. So you will see through the San Gabriels, along the 14, and into the IE as well. Now let's take a closer look at the 5 a.m. hour, because we're still looking at quite a bit of wind spanning across all our mountain communities. And here's the thing about tonight, we haven't heard much about Orange County or the Inland Empire, but we are expecting to see that wind pick up overnight for both the OC and the IE, because again, this is more of sort of a classic Santa Ana trajectory that we're seeing tonight wind-wise. So early in the morning, we're looking at wind mostly in our mountain and foothill communities. We are getting a break tomorrow. And that's great news, but this isn't it. We are not in the home stretch. Why? Well, we'll get a little calmer this weekend, but we're looking at another bump in winds as we head into Sunday night, but really Monday into Tuesday. That feels so far away from today, and I had to really think about what today was, right? Today's Thursday. It's taking us all a moment to figure out what day and what time it is right now. But, you know, as we head into the weekend, it's going to be calm. But as we head into next week, we're looking at another round of winds. Nothing like the windstorm we saw on Tuesday. Again, we're not looking at 90 to 100 mile per hour winds, but we are certainly looking at 30 to 40 mile per hour winds potentially across Southern California, 40 to 50 miles per hour. And a big concern tonight for those of us along the fire lines, off the fire lines, is really that air quality. A lot of us really noticed just that smoke in the air today. Big reason why you know, we were talking about schools being closed, even if they're not in the fire zones. Just the poor air quality outside has really made an impact here in Southern California, and we're looking at very unhealthy air quality. You're looking at those red dots on your screen, the yellow indicating moderate air quality. I want to zoom in and show you where the air quality is really the worst right now. So you will notice those red dots right there. So we are looking at pretty bad air quality as we make our way out of the Santa Clarita Valley into the San Fernando Valley and also into the San Gabriel Valley as well. We are looking at unhealthy air quality even as we make our way into parts of Orange County because that smoke is traveling. Remember, we're looking at those northeasterly winds. You're seeing the direction of the wind, and that's where it's blowing. So even though the fire might be to the north, we're getting bad air quality to the south. And you'll notice air quality is above 150. That's the AQI, if you will, and you will see AQI above 150, even in Seal Beach, moving up to Universal City and Brentwood at 181. So we're going to continue to, of course, monitor air quality. We're monitoring the wind. We're monitoring relative humidity. And I want to really wrap up what's next, just to sort of remind you what's happening. We have to just remember not to get that fatigue when it comes to these Santa Ana wind events because we could see more wind. This really isn't the end of it. So wind set to increase overnight, as we were just looking at on our futurecast. The strongest wind is really taking place over the next few hours for the IE and Orange County. So all eyes on the IE in Orange County as far as possibly new fires starting. We're hoping that won't be the case. But wind or not, fire danger is staying high until we get a soaking rain. So we are expecting to see wind, and we're expecting it through next week. What we're not expecting at any point is rain. And we're getting a look at the long range models, and it doesn't look like we'll see any rain in the forecast. And again, this is very long range, so it's hard to predict with a lot of assurance. But I will tell you that there is possibly a chance that we've been looking at maybe on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of this month, which is so far off as well. But we will take any kind of significant rain we can get because take a look at this. Coming up in a little bit, just a few slides away, I do want to show you that we've seen no rain whatsoever really this season. So wind advisories, well, they're still with us through tomorrow. So wind is really the main concern at this point. As we head into the next couple of days, it's going to get calmer, but really that wind warning remains in effect through 6 a.m. on Friday through parts of the IE, LA County, Orange County, everybody affected, especially in our mountain foothill communities and our valleys. And strong winds plus low humidity still making for high fire danger at least through tomorrow. And you will see right here really such a slow start to winter and an even slower start to 2025. We can all attest to that, that is for sure. But since we started counting rainfall since December 1st, okay, we've only seen 200ths of an inch of rain, which is barely anything. I mean, that makes zero dent. That's barely even measurable. And this is now officially, at least so far, the driest start to winter that we've seen since 1964. So the average we would get maybe about this time of year from December 1st through now, about 3.5 inches, a little under that. So we're nowhere close. The last 2 years back to back, we saw quite the opposite. So we're really experiencing whiplash weather where we saw too much of a good thing last year and too little of a good thing this year. And it looks like it's going to be a long winter stretch, at least a couple weeks potentially without rain is what it's looking like right now. And another few bouts of wind. Again, there's that uptick tonight and then possibly another uptick coming in Sunday night into early next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But Monday into Tuesday looking like a somewhat significant Santa Ana wind event. So we're going to continue to watch it, Pat. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Ev. Now, we want to show our viewers this report that fire in Pacific Palisades Palisades. It's burned more than 17,000 acres so far. KCAL News reporter Michelle Gili shows us the aftermath on day 3.
Investigators from the LA County Medical Examiner's Office sifted through debris Thursday afternoon at a burned-out home in Malibu where someone was reported missing. Sadly, human remains were found in the rubble on the property on PCH near Duke's Restaurant. Not far away, there was a moment of gratitude as a homeowner made his way back to his house after 2 days.
Wow. I have no words.
Alex Cole had seen video of the Palisades fire in this stretch of PCH, but hoped to see for himself that his place was still standing.
I'm blessed that it's still standing.
The house is intact, but there is damage. The balcony off of the living room is badly burned, and there are other issues. Cole knows, though, that he's one of the lucky ones.
I walked in, so I'm going to look around and see how bad it is, but at least it didn't go all the way down. So thank God for that.
A bit north in Pacific Palisades, damage assessment teams are fanning out in neighborhoods, going house to house and cataloging what's been destroyed and what is still standing.
Our numbers that we collect, we work hand in hand with FEMA. So that's how they end up getting the numbers of how many structures were destroyed or not destroyed. Unfortunately, right now we won't be able to tell because it's very soon, but hopefully within probably like a week, once we get all our data, we'll be able to provide the public with how many structures have been destroyed.
Paula Rufo and Tim Murphy hiked into the Sunset Mesa neighborhood in Malibu from their temporary housing in Santa Monica. They had to find out if they'd have any place to come home to.
Our home is in much better shape than many others, even sadly some of our neighbors. There is some damage on the outer area, windows out. It smells like a 70s ashtray, but it is relatively much better than most of the folks here.
The fact that I was standing in my kitchen just a little while ago is comforting to know that my personal things are there. Yeah, it's a little devastating to look out my window and see all my neighbors' houses all torched. I feel for them.
Trying to reckon that our whole entire life and place and home and memories are gone.
Other evacuated residents have been meeting at a roadblock on PCH and Temescal Canyon Road looking for answers. LAPD and Port of LA officers have started checking IDs and taking names in order to help people get to their homes, if only for a few minutes.
A car comes down, a police car or other vans, and they pile 4 or 5 people in who are in that area. They drop you off, you've got 5 minutes, and then they bring you back down.
It's so hard to believe that what you left in one piece is now just rubble. And so we're just trying to see, maybe there's a stone, maybe there's a little gem of a piece, maybe one of my forks and my silverware. You know, I don't know. Anything is going to just kind of be a touchstone.
When the sun went down, officers told residents that they were not going to shuttle people up to the neighborhoods anymore due to darkness, but they said they would start again in the morning. In Pacific Palisades, Michelle Gili, KCAL News.
Well, KCAL News reporter Jasmine Veal talked with the families of 2 men who died in the Eaton fire in Altadena.
This fire has been deadly and destructive. We are standing in front of one of the assisted living facilities right off Altadena Drive in Washington, burned to the ground. Behind me, this is the terrace at Park Marino, and it was once a 3-story building. And we know dozens of seniors from these assisted living facilities and nursing homes, they were rushed out as that fast-moving wildfire closed in. But we are also sadly learning about those people in Altadena who did not make it out of this firestorm. Kimiko Nickerson says they only found the bones of her 82-year-old father, Rodney Kent Nickerson, in the rubble of her family home in Altadena on Alta Pine that burned to the ground.
And he said he'll be fine. I'll be here when you guys come back. He was in his bed when I found him.
She says her 25-year-old son lived with Nickerson, his grandfather, and while he evacuated, the older man did not, as the firestorm raged.
And he was walking around with his lantern in the house. Chase and I were talking to him. We were on FaceTime.
Nickerson, a Lockheed Martin engineer for 45 years, and his grandfather, William Nickerson, was a prominent businessman and the founder of Nickerson Gardens in Watts, the largest public housing development in Los Angeles. Just down the street, this couple also lost their home, and they say another man died on their street.
I just waved at them. Their father was really friendly. He had old Mustangs, and I'm a car guy. I used to talk to him, but I didn't know his son very well.
They tried to fight the flames and embers for hours, but it became too much. They say they never got any evacuation order.
Instead of a snowstorm, it was a flame storm. Okay, and it was being blown by 60-mile-an-hour winds. And so we just turned off the water and grabbed some things and got out of here.
Rita Cook showed up at a senior living facility off Washington in Altadena Thursday, where she says she used to work, only to find it burned to the ground. She says her cousin and his son also died in the fire inside their home on Mariposa.
Anthony was such a great guy, businessman, family man. I mean, you can talk to Anthony about just about anything, and he was such a jewel. So this is going to be a great loss. So
what happened to him? He was with his son, who was bedridden?
Yes, it's with his son that was bedridden.
The devastation so widespread, 16 square miles, impacting homes, businesses, and schools like this one. The fire destroyed a good portion of Elliott Arts Middle School on Lake Avenue. Seats inside the gymnasium burned to a crisp as the roof collapsed. The cause of this fire is still being investigated, and if it is arson, of course, that brings in the sheriff's department to investigate any of these deaths as murder. But we know cadaver dogs and homicide detectives have the daunting task now of going through all of this rubble and devastation. Here in Altadena, Jasmine, VLKCAL News.
Well, SoCal is coming together in this time of crisis. Following these devastating fires, we've seen people from all over the community and business people come together as well. 2 law partners in Valley Village are renting out hotel rooms to shelter evacuees. And KCAL's Elise Martinez is speaking to them about why they took action. And we're hearing from a single mother who is benefiting from their generosity.
Friends, we hope everyone's okay. We have reserved a hotel block of rooms here in Sherman Oaks. Please reach out to us.
This is the video that started it all.
If you need help, forget anything other than asking for help.
Law partners Gina Zapanta and Mike Alder posted this video on their Instagram pages, offering to put fire evacuees up in a hotel.
We thought a few people would ask for some help. It went viral, and so we saw that and started just calling around to any local hotels here in the Burbank, North Hollywood, Sherman Oaks area.
Ariana Perez is staying in one of the rooms they rented out with her 9-month-old son, Ezekiel.
I was lucky enough to get picked by them so they can help me and my son out.
The single mom had to leave her home quickly, grabbing whatever she could.
I put all his needs first, so I just grabbed whatever I could for myself. Of course, we wish we could take everything, but we can't take everything.
She says her home in Altadena was destroyed.
Gone. Ashes.
As she's left to rebuild her life, Perez says it's comforting to have a safe and stable place to stay with her son, at least for now.
He doesn't know nothing. He's just so happy. He doesn't know what's going on.
And she says she's grateful for people like Zapanta and Alder, who stepped up to help a stranger. So far, they've booked dozens of rooms here and across this area. They say that they've helped more than 160 parents and children, along with their pets as well, and they are committed to doing as much as they can. In Valley Village, Elise Martinez, KCAL News.
They are raising money to pay for more hotels and putting together care packages for evacuees. And if you'd like to help, you can reach out to them on Instagram. Now, the images of loss and devastation that we've shown you continue to come in. Those not impacted by the fire are eager to help their fellow citizens. But what is the best way to provide assistance to those affected by the fires?
Truly, the best way is for people to make donations. This way, we can empower people to recover the way that they need to. The outpouring from the community has been tremendous, but a lot of the items are not of any value to the people right now. They need immediate things, and that is what we do. We assess their immediate needs, and then we help provide those by the generosity of donors.
And as Southern California copes with the devastation caused by the fires, many of you want to know how you can help. KCAL cares, and we are partnering with the Red Cross to assist those in need. So just go to redcross.org/KCAL for information on how you can donate, volunteer, or find shelter. You can also call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text Red Cross to 90999. Well, a major concern now is the safety of the water in the areas affected by the fires. KCAL's Dylan Thomas takes a closer look.
The damage caused by the Eaton fire is absolutely unimaginable. Thousands of people will have to rebuild their homes, businesses, maybe even entire portions of their lives. But for those who are fortunate enough to still have a home to return to, some of them are being told the water is so toxic, even boiling it may not be enough to make it safe.
It's devastating, man.
As the sun comes up over the Eaton fire burn scar, a community is realizing their new reality.
I've lived in this area my whole life.
Have you ever seen fire get this close to your home?
No, not this close. To see it come down into our city and our community, it's devastating.
Alexander Buñuelos has lived in Pasadena for 25 years.
We're just wetting the house down just to keep the embers from causing any fires here at our property.
But some of their friends aren't as fortunate to still have a home. These charred homes and businesses are now posing a threat to water quality.
We actually saw it on social media. A couple of our friends had reposted up a post that, the water is not safe to drink right now.
Pasadena Water and Power is now calling the tap water in the evacuation zone unsafe.
The pipes melt. They become open sources. Gases from the fire burning can be pulled into the pipes. And those gases contain lots of toxic chemicals of which none of us want to breathe. They can also contaminate the insides of those pipes.
Darren Polhemus is Deputy Director of the Division of Drinking Water. At what point does a system become so vulnerable that it can't even be boiled out? The toxins can't even be boiled out.
Boiling out is generally only used when we believe that there is the potential for pathogens that could have got in. Boiling doesn't help with heavy metals and some of the volatile organics.
Which is why, at nearby stores,
you're getting water.
Those in the evacuation zone say they are stocking up with what they can.
Trying to get as much as they'll allow us to, because we don't know, the water's so bad, we don't know when we'll be able to use it at all.
The impacted water districts will have to flush their systems multiple times. And even after that's complete, it could take days or even weeks before it's once again safe for consumption. I'm Dylan Thomas, KCAL News.
Well, some Altadena residents are allowed to return to their neighborhood and survey their loss in the Eaton fire. KCAL's Jeff Nguyen reports he talked to a couple who just spent $70,000 on renovations, only to have their home burned down by the Eaton fire.
We are in Altadena, and we are on McNally, just north of Loma Alta. And this is the home of Jared Tefralian and Nicole Ellis. And speaking of them, as we look at some of the devastation here, I'm going to walk over and introduce you to them. So, Nicole, no favoritism just because Jared is standing closer to me. But, Jared, how long have you lived here, and what does this home mean to you and Nicole?
About 18 years now, and this home was really our sanctuary. I collected motorcycles. I had about 23 in the house, and several cars. Just building that collection. Family heirlooms. Used to hike here. Used to work from home every day. Since COVID especially. So this was really everything to us.
Nicole, I don't want to pick at your wound, but I can see from your facial expression, this is really hard for you. Do you mind? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's like, it was our home. I trained dogs, and our dogs grew up here. We've trained so many other people's dogs here. We would go hiking here. And our neighbors, everyone's affected. It's just lost everything we left so quickly. We just made sure our animals and us got out safely.
You know, for all of us of a certain generation, we all recognize home ownership is a very difficult thing. So I'm guessing for you, this is also a symbol of pride and accomplishment as well.
Yeah, we actually just spent $70,000 about 3 months ago renovating the bathroom, repainting the entire house, fixing up things, putting in new lights. I mean, it was a very, very recent renovation. We were still having people come over and see it. And now there's nothing to see.
You know, certainly you were very proud of it and you wanted to show it off. And, you know, I know that this does not replace what you accomplished. But, you know, if you could show it off, what would we be looking at right here?
We would be looking at our living room here. That's our fireplace with the TV hanging from it now. We had a motorcycle here. You can see an exhaust there. Our dining room table. Back there was my office, dog training room. We had more motorcycles, more dog training equipment back there, including dog fitness equipment from treadmills to all sorts of stuff. And in our back garage, we had more motorcycles, tools for him to work on the motorcycles. And it was a home. So obviously couches, living room, normal house stuff.
So if I understand it correctly, was your house also a showroom for your motorcycles as well? You want to walk with me a little bit and talk to me about where they were sitting? Were they sitting inside the house, outside the house, or what are we talking about? And be careful.
10 motorcycles in the house. Mostly Ducatis. One I bought from the former CEO of Ducati North America. You can see another motorcycle over there that I had. Basically, I had the room painted to match the motorcycle. So yeah, it was you know, it's probably over $100,000 in motorcycles in the house, just that I had collected over the past 20 years. Some of them were numbered, you know, irreplaceable collectible bikes.
You know, for certain guys, you know, a Ducati is an aspirational thing. Talk to me about, you know, why you love that brand so much.
Oh yeah, when I was about 16, back in the 90s, you know, I used to watch Carl Fogarty ride one, and they were just, you know, they're just beautiful Italian, you know, the Ferrari of motorcycles. Had pictures of them on my wall. I collected the stubs from the magazines you would send in to win them, and I would, you know, take those out of the magazines and send hundreds in. And then eventually, in about 2000, I got my first Ducati, and I just started collecting them from there. And yeah.
Symbol of pride?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Symbol of pride. I rode 400 miles every weekend through Los Padres Forest, and that was our church. Every Sunday we go riding, and unfortunately that's going to be on pause for a while now.
Was your passion for motorcycles something that Nicole supported, or did she do it begrudgingly?
Oh, she supported it 100%.
He has that, and I have horses, and we thought about moving our horse closer to home, and very luckily we didn't, because it would have been a whole nother thing to evacuate, and I've had to evacuate horses before, and it's not a small feat, so I'm very grateful he's well and taken care of.
You know, clearly you both are sort of daredevils. I mean, what's it like to, you know, find another daredevil and kind of build this life together?
Yeah, you got to search for your people, and we're very lucky, and my dog fell in love with Jared and picked him out, so here we are.
You know, having said that, as you look at this landscape, what's going through your mind here? I mean, your neighbors tell me, the Archuletas, that they want to rebuild. What's in the future for you?
We'll definitely rebuild. To answer your question, what's going through my mind, it's how big a garage I can build when we do rebuild. But you have to stay hopeful. I mean, fortunately, we have wonderful friends to house us during this time. You know, we both have jobs, so like, this isn't gonna knock us out. It might knock us down for a little while, but we'll rebuild. We love Altadena, and
we love the community. Our neighbors were all lovely. One of my best friends lived basically a block away from me. We would see each other all the time. Her house is gone also. It's just, we're all going through it together.
Where are you staying now, and what's that process like so far?
We're currently staying at one of my best friend's houses, and then we're going to a friend's guest house shortly, and then figuring out our game plan, which we're not too sure of right now.
Well, thank you to you both for being so gracious to share your story with us. And, you know, as we walk through here, just to kind of emphasize the point a little bit, I don't want to be disrespectful. Yep. I don't want to be disrespectful to your property, but yep, you see the exhaust for one of the Ducatis here. And as we walk in this direction, just one more thing, you know, another symbol of pride is the car that used to be here, and one last car over there. But this is pretty much the extent of what we are dealing with in the aftermath of all of this. Reporting in Altadena, Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
Now it's 7, breaking news tonight in the inferno covering Southern California. The latest, the Kenneth Fire ballooning in the hills above Calabasas to nearly 1,000 acres. But tonight, all mandatory evacuations in LA County have been lifted. The massive Palisades fire, meantime, is still 0% contained tonight. It has burned more than 5,300 structures in Malibu and Pacific Palisades, wiping out entire neighborhoods with at least 2 deaths so far. Firefighters say growth has slowed on the Eaton fire that's in the Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre areas. 3 deaths have also been connected to those fires. Another 5,000 acres have been destroyed in the Eaton fire. To our Lauren Posen now. She is covering the latest fire to pop up. That's the Kenneth Fire we're talking about. She is live in Calabasas at Malibu Canyon Road and Las Virgenes. Lauren?
Well, Juan, this is where the focus concentration is on for battling this fire. Over here, I want to show you all the fire engines here that are lined up on Muir Road. This is just right down the street from Mountain View Estates and also down from around Meadow Elementary School and, of course, Hidden Hills as well. And I mentioned Hidden Hills because firefighters tell me this is where the concentration of the fire is. It started this afternoon just about 2:40 right over here too. There's some more police presence over here as well, and it basically started burning in that area and then right behind Hidden Hills, and that is why firefighters are focusing over here. All these people that you see here have been evacuated here at Las Virgenes and Malibu Canyon. They cannot go into their homes. I spoke with one woman. Her animal is still left inside, her cat. She's very worried about that. And right now, it's just mandatory evacuations until firefighters can get a better handle on this fire. It started at 50 acres and now has exploded up to 800 acres. They are fighting this from the sky with water tanks dropping down, but these winds are unpredictable, and that is one of the challenges for firefighters tonight. I spoke with 2 men who live over here in Malibu Canyon. They were just evacuated. Take a listen to what they told me. Oh, so they were telling. Oh, there's no. So we'll have that sound for you later. But the men were telling me that, they got the alert on their phone. They raced over here. They packed, just grabbed whatever they saw that they could. Then they got out here. They're like, well, maybe I should have grabbed a little bit more. But Juan, I was telling Pat in the earlier hour, for a lot of people out here, this is just reminding them very much so of the Woolsey fire, bringing back a lot of those memories because this area was also impacted as well. And just to be in the same situation again and a much bigger level here, it's very terrifying for people. But the good news is that you can see all the firefighters here. They are working on this fire. And, we can't even see. When we first got here, Juan, we saw a little bit of the flames on the mountaintop over there. We don't see them anymore. So we're hoping that's a good sign. We, of course, are going to stay out here. We're going to have another update for you. But as of right now, all the mandatory evacuations are still in place. And firefighters are doing what they can to get this fire under control. Juan?
Very good, Lauren. Okay, they are at the ready and at the firefight right now. Thank you. All right, let's go to KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers on the desk right now with updated information on the cause of the Kenneth Fire. Mike, what do you have?
Yeah, so everything's a little bit murky right now. We need to wait for detectives to sort everything out. But here's the deal. So we got an alert, Citizen app and a couple other places, that there was an arson suspect that was being detained in Woodland Hills, right? So we looked into that, and what happened there in Woodland Hills on Alatar Drive is that a group of citizens believed that a person was responsible for an arson. We don't know why they believed that. We don't know what information they got that led them to that conclusion. Regardless, though, they detained on their own, these citizens detained that person, and then they called LAPD. So LAPD has detained that person. They've brought him to Topanga Station, and what's happening right now is a detective from Ventura County Sheriff is going over to Topanga Station to interview that person to see whether or not there is any connection. So I want to be clear here. Nobody is under arrest. Nobody is definitively saying that this fire is arson, and nobody is definitively saying that the person that LAPD has at Topanga Station is that potential arsonist. So this was all done by citizens. Citizens detained this person, and then LAPD showed showed up and took him to Topanga Station, where now he is being interviewed, or will be interviewed shortly, by a Ventura County Sheriff's detective. So we'll continue to follow that situation. An LAPD watch commander I just talked to at Topanga Station. When I said, "Is this your arson suspect?" he said, "I doubt it." So seems like there's a little bit of doubt in there of who this guy is, but regardless, they're gonna take it very seriously. Ventura County Sheriff's gonna come and interview him and figure out what, if any, connection he may have to this fire. So we'll continue to monitor that situation, Juan. And I think, do we want to go up to SkyCal and look at some of the video that SkyCal is at over the Palisades fire right now? As that continues to burn, that firefight ongoing.
Yeah, let's take a look, Mike.
Yeah, there we go. So there you can see SkyCal's looking at this. It looks a lot better, Juan. And let me make sure. Yeah, so we're looking at it right off of Van Nuys Airport, I believe, is kind of where we're looking at it from that angle. So yeah, we're just above, actually Pierce College is where we're looking at it from, Juan. So you can see there is still active flame tonight as they look at that. And, some of those water dropping helicopters are still there. Actually, a large number of them. Between the two fires, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, almost 14 water dropping helicopters still after nightfall. So really remarkable the work that they are able to do and to, try to do their best to fight this fire at night.
That is fantastic, Mike. And we're seeing that all that air support is definitely making a difference there. Even though we're seeing some flames still there in the Palisades fire, they are not stopping, even at night, to put those flames out. All right, Mike, thank you.
Yeah.
Almost 20,000 acres have been destroyed by the massive Palisades fire, we see still burning right here. The blaze has burned down more than 5,300 homes and businesses. We've heard stories of tragedy, but as KCAL's Tom Waite tells us, some people's homes were spared. One of them is his aunt. Tom, how's she doing tonight?
Oh, Narnoski.
All right, we're going to go to our meteorologist, Danny Roberti, while Tom gets ready to bring us that live report from Pacific Palisades. Danny, are you ready to go?
Hi, Juan. Yes. We have a lot to talk about going into tonight, so we're going to jump right to it because, Juan, kind of a big piece of this, it's been all about the winds. And so you can see tonight we are seeing another boost in those winds. That's what we've been tracking. So we've got gusts right now picking up through those traditional spots where we see the Santa Ana winds. Even so, though, things are so dry right now, and that's why we're seeing these concerns for continued fire danger going into the next 24 hours. So we've got gusts through Santa Clarita up to 32 miles per hour right now. Chino into Riverside. So Inland Empire and Orange County is going to be a focus going into tonight as well. And you can see we've got those strong gusty winds in those areas. Simi Valley, 26 miles per hour. Malibu seeing gusts nearing 16 miles per hour right now, right where the Palisades fire is burning. Now, these are not wind gusts as strong as what we were seeing just the last 24, 48 hours when we were seeing that really intense windstorm moving through. But this is still windy enough with the vegetation this dry that we are tracking those concerns. So let's talk about the Kenneth fire, where we have this fire burning right now near Hidden Hills and near Calabasas. We're looking at temperatures in the low 60s, and it's not incredibly crazy in terms of the winds. I mean, we're talking gusts between 10 to 20, 25 miles per hour, but still this is enough with things being as dry as they are to see the spread of this fire very quickly. And this is also very difficult terrain. So what we're tracking right now is that next boost in the Santa Ana winds. And so going into tonight, these winds, they're slowly going to strengthen tonight into early tomorrow morning. And with that, we're still dealing with these really dry conditions out there. You can see we're looking at the teens in terms of our relative humidity, even the 20s out there. Things are much drier this evening for portions of the Inland Empire into Orange County, where you can see that relative humidity really between the single digits into the teens. And we continue to see that in areas like Malibu over towards Burbank and Santa Clarita. And because of how dry it is, that's why we continue to see this red flag warning. So we are still on high alert for critical fire danger. We've got these stronger winds picking up tonight. This is that boost, that bump in the winds that we've been talking about. And also, it's just been so dry out there. I mean, we haven't seen any solid rain since last spring. This has been the driest start to our winter since the 60s. So this nasty combination right here, when we're talking about fire danger, there's a couple different ingredients. It's the winds, and we're seeing those strengthen right now, and also the low humidity, how dry things are. That's what leads to high fire danger, and that's why a lot of Southern California is still under this. I mean, it's wild, first of all, to see a red flag warning in January. I mean, typically we don't see this. On top of that, this has been a long duration event. I mean, this has been prolonged. And so we're going to continue to see this going into tonight, early tomorrow morning. With that, we're looking at some renewed high wind warnings that are now in effect through early tomorrow morning. And actually the focus for these, it's going to be Orange County, Inland Empire, and then also through LA County into Ventura County. You can see some of those usual areas where we see the Santa Ana winds, the Malibu coast included in this as well. So in terms of what's happening tonight, valleys could see wind gusts between 45 to 60 miles per hour, mountains 55 to 75 miles per hour. I want to note this is nothing like what we saw Tuesday night when we saw the peak of those winds. I mean, we're not going to be looking at those widespread crazy winds, but still, these are strong winds. This is a moderate to strong Santa Ana wind event for us. So let's talk timing of the winds, because this is very important for us. This is going to be an important piece because I've got my eyes on light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to zoom you into a couple different areas right now. Going into tonight, here's a look at those winds. The purples are back. So those purples are indicating those stronger winds, mainly up through the mountains, the San Gabriel Mountains. Gusts between 50 to 60 miles per hour. Our foothill communities, you can see those winds kind of just fanning over Calabasas into Thousand Oaks, right there towards the Malibu coast, and also Ventura County, that coastline right there nearing Oxnard. And then also we've been talking about Inland Empire and also Orange County. We've got some of those winds starting to ramp up close to San Bernardino, up through Running Springs, and then over towards Fontana. Let me zoom you out so we can kind of fast forward and go through hour by hour what's happening. We've still got strong winds by around midnight, but look at what happens by Friday morning. We're going to finally start to see some of these winds relaxing. It's still breezy out there. And then once we get to Friday afternoon into Friday evening, this is when we're going to be done with the red flag warnings and when we're going to be done with those high wind warnings as well. That's what we've been waiting for. Unfortunately, though, today we're still dealing with this extreme critical fire danger for a lot of folks. So this has been the focus today, the bullseye for where if we see fires, they could spread very quickly. So Santa Clarita over towards Calabasas, where we have the Kenneth fire burning right now. That's one of the key areas. And then also you can see that going into tonight. Inland Empire, we've got that through San Bernardino County, Riverside County, into Orange County. But by the time we get to tomorrow, this is a look at our fire weather outlook. Things are going to start to improve. Each day, things are looking a little bit better out there. So you can see fire danger is still going to be elevated, but not to the extent that we've seen the past couple of days. So let's talk about those hourly wind gusts going into tonight. Things are going to be picking up through Lancaster, Ontario, Huntington Beach, Santa Clarita, seeing gusts between 25 to 30 miles per hour. I mean, this is a different story compared to what we saw a couple of days ago. That's good news, but unfortunately, things are still so dry that any of these winds, I mean, this is still a situation where we are on high alert. But again, I mentioned we've got light at the end of the tunnel, and it's the fact that we are seeing those winds relaxing Friday and Saturday, and that is hopefully going to give our firefighters that opportunity to get the upper hand on some of these fires that we continue to see breaking out. I mean, it's so hard to see these constantly breaking out in different areas of Southern California. And with that, I want to talk about the air quality. We're all noticing it outside today. I mean, it has just been terrible out there. We've got these plumes of smoke, and that's what's leading to this terrible air pollution for us. And the focus for this has really been LA County. So when we're dealing with these winds picking up, it's really helping to blow and fan this smoke from these fires, like the Eaton fire, over towards downtown Los Angeles. So those purples right there, that's indicating the thickest smoke. We really don't see this often. And then you can see those reds. This is still thick smoke through Alhambra. We've got that through Monrovia, into Pico Rivera, Huntington Park, over towards Culver City, Santa Monica. I mean, look at that stream. The winds are strong enough to blow it all the way out towards the the ocean. So for these areas, we are under air quality alerts through tonight, potentially being expanded into tomorrow. We do not see air quality this bad in Southern California. I know we're used to the smog and the haze, but this is another level. So this is the kind of situation where you want to try to limit some of that time outside, especially if you're sensitive to this. But this is really unhealthy for anybody. It's not just folks that are sensitive to this. It's for a lot of us. Air quality alerts in place until this evening. That is going to be the case for folks in Orange County, LA County, and also for the Inland Empire. So we are still seeing these strong gusty winds. The focus, Juan, the window, it's going to be tonight until around 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. And again, it's nothing like we saw Tuesday night when we saw those peak winds. I mean, we saw 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We are not expecting to see that tonight. We're really looking at wind gusts between 40 to 50 miles per hour, and then some localized gusts up in the mountains, potentially nearing 70 miles per hour. So a different story, Juan. We're going to keep a close eye on those winds. I'll be tracking that for you in any of the updates coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we need every break we can get.
Yes,
Danny,
we do.
Thanks so much. All right, almost 20,000 acres have been destroyed by the massive Palisades fire. The blaze has burned down more than 5,300 homes and businesses. And we've heard stories of tragedy, but as KCAL's Tom White tells us, some people's homes were spared, and one of them is his aunt. Tom, how's she doing tonight?
Oh, Juan, she's doing much better now. We thought the house had burned down. We were told by neighbors that it was gone, and then we found out this morning that it might still be there. I was able to go over to the house today, and I saw it. It's fine. She's been here since the 70s, so it would have just been, devastating, obviously, as it is for so many people who live here that aren't as lucky as she is. My parents have two friends staying with them whose house did burn to the ground. They live here in the Palisades as well. So, just opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of emotion there. But just to give you a sense of the scale of this destruction, let me move out of the way and just show you what it looks like here in this parking lot. You're looking right now at Ralph's, or what was Ralph's, here in the Palisades, and it's just a complete burned out shell of what it was. It's even hard to recognize that it was in a grocery store. It's really mind-boggling. I'm sure a lot of people watching have been to this Ralph's before. I have been, on the way to my aunt's house, and it's just part of the heartbreak here, because you drive through into the Palisades and it is just horrible what you see. It looks like something out of an apocalyptic movie. It's unrecognizable. Let's get to some video that we shot throughout the evening, and it just gives you a sense of just how far reaching the destruction is. It just stretches from one end of the Palisades to the other, and it's just entire neighborhoods, swaths just burned to the ground. Chimneys are the only things standing, along with piles of debris and charred, there's drywall, rebar, homes that are reduced to ash. You can't even tell what was there. And, for every one of those homes, that's a family or a person who lived there, memories, holidays, birthdays. I mean, there's no way to put it into words how terrible this is for so many people. There are some hopeful stories, my aunt was one of them, and there's a few others on her block that were lucky too. But even for them, even though their homes survived, it doesn't matter, because they know that their neighbors didn't. They know their friends lost everything, and that's just a horrible reality to process, right? I mean, when our friends and family lose everything, we hurt for them. We spoke to a man tonight who grew up, born and raised in the Palisades, and his family, they lost everything too.
Looks like, World War II. I mean, we're World War III, you look like an atomic bomb went off. It's absolutely devastating, unrecognizable.
And that was from that man. He was just telling us, that was Augie Silk, who was telling us about, seeing what it looked like when he first came back after the evacuation. Obviously the evacuation order is in place. We want to remind people that still it is not a good idea to come back to the area. It's not very safe here in a number of ways. There's down utility poles, utility wires. Many of them have not have been disconnected, of course, but it's still very dangerous and very treacherous on some of the roadways. And you saw probably in that video that we just showed you, there's still a lot of cars that are along the side of the road or in the middle of the road now charred by the fire. Those were people that were trying to escape on Tuesday night and were so scared that they just got out of their cars and got on foot, fled. But their cars remained there. They had to be bulldozed off to the side of the road. I mean, things like that. It's just so much. There's just so much debris and other material in the roadways that it really is just not a safe thing to do to come back into these evacuation zones. So just remind yourself of that. I know it's so hard. People want to come back to see what the damage is if their homes, manage to escape or be spared. But it's very dicey situation here. There's no power in most of the Palisades. There's no Wi-Fi. It's difficult to communicate. There's no grocery stores really to speak of or restaurants that are really open. It's just a situation where emergency vehicles and police and fire need to have as much access and as much ability to get from one place to another, because even though a lot of the sort of raging inferno, the big flames have been knocked down, there are still hot spots that pop up, right? I mean, there's an ember it can blow from one spot to another, and then it can just sit in an attic and then all of a sudden erupt into a big fire. So it's important to remember that these areas are very, very treacherous and dicey. Everything is very volatile right now. Nothing is out of the right now. Anything can happen, basically. We are not out of the danger zone yet. Firefighters are still trying to get this under control. Also, the air quality is absolutely terrible. It's very smoky and difficult to breathe when you're out here for a very long time. But yeah, just a sad reality out here, because so many of the places that people loved out here, people who visited, they're just gone. And this fire has totally transformed the Palisades to a place that I barely recognized when I came in to work today. And I know that it's going to be hard for people to come back when they see what this fire has done. It's beyond tragic.
It's unbelievable. I'm glad to hear about your aunt, Tom, but right behind you there, I can't believe that used to be a Ralph's supermarket. Just unbelievable. All right, Tom, thank you. We are beginning to get a sense tonight of just how much the fires have cost the people of Altadena. We're hearing over and over how much residents love their tight-knit community, and many of our own staff live there, including KCAL reporter Cara Finstrom. Cara spoke with KCAL Mornings anchor Rutabe Shabazi this morning on her life in and love of Altadena. Here's a portion of that interview.
My family was extremely fortunate. We're on one of the blocks that was spared, but all around us, seeing neighbors' homes that had burned to the ground. We've lived here almost 20 years, and our kids were raised here. So these are the streets we rode bicycles down, the places we eat, the places, we've gone to do so many things. My husband had a dental appointment just down this block this morning, and his dentist office is no longer there. So our hearts break for, all of these local people who've lost their businesses and their homes. We were sure we had lost our home, to be honest. We just thought we had from everything we saw that night. So we feel blessed to have it, but it is a very mixed feeling because we are so sad for the people all around us. It's still a little surreal, I think. I did go out to take some photographs yesterday and some video, and the magnitude of it is just, it's hard to see. Street after street, we checked on some homes of friends that were gone, had to share that news with them, which was very difficult. I think, for me, I'm thinking what's next for this community. This is an old community. We had so many historic buildings and homes here dating back to the 20s, and it's part of why we moved here. We just loved it. We're close to the canyon. And never in our 20 years have we had to evacuate or felt threatened. So this really kind of did take us by surprise, even though we talk about it on the news, and I did have a little bag prepared. I certainly wasn't prepared to really leave my home. I don't know, I guess I'm concerned about these families and what's next for them. We don't know when power will be back. We don't know when water will be safe to use. There's just a lot of questions. And as I made my way through the streets, I really was surprised by how many just power lines are down and just how difficult it is to get through and how disorienting it is, because all the things I'm used to seeing are not there. You start thinking about all the people. We have friends in Hastings Ranch. They were hit hard too. We were texting with them and they were evacuating at the same time. And so much of the Southland just devastated by this right now. There'll be a lot of questions going forward, because I know a lot of people here were concerned that we couldn't get more resources in to treat the fire here, and just the extent of the loss and the devastation, and how best to move forward and prevent similar scenarios in the future. But right now it's all about the people and making sure everyone has a place to stay. The other thing is, we went to the convention center that night. My mom used to, before she passed away, was in the terraces, which was, we've seen the images of all those people who were brought out in wheelchairs and dust chairs. She stayed there, and those people are amazing. We went to the convention center to see how they were and if we could help, and they were treating people with cuts and bruises and seniors who were just so confused. One young man who works there, and I won't share his name because I haven't spoken with him again yet, but he carried out 20 people that night, you know, just one after another. So.
And those images have just rippled across the world, I think, as kind of encapsulating what this did to our community. And, you know, as someone who lives in this community, I think a lot of stories are going to come out about the heroes.
Definitely.
Our Cara Finsterman, Rutabe Shabazi sharing a special moment there. All right, well, as Southern California copes with the devastation caused by the fires, many of you want to know how you can help. Well, KCAL cares, and we're partnering with the American Red Cross to assist those in need. Just go to redcross.org/KCAL for information on how to donate, how to volunteer if you care to do so, or how to find shelter. You can also call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text Red Cross to 90999. Well, people were not the only ones displaced by these devastating fires. Today, hundreds of people came together at the Pasadena Humane Society and SPCA to help out our four-legged friends. Here's reporter Josh Sanders with how you can help.
What's happening here at the Pasadena Humane Society and SPCA is a testament to that special connection between people and animals. Hundreds of volunteers are here, many sleep deprived. They've been working for hours as the community continues to show up with donations for our furry friends. At the Pasadena Humane Society and SPCA, volunteers are working hard, receiving donations for those who can't fend for themselves.
So this is all going to storage underneath in the parking garage because people are so generous.
Rafael de la Fuente watched as the Palisades and Eaton fires engulfed homes.
Fear, anger, grief. I was like, no, I need to channel it, do something with it, transmute that energy, and I was here.
He is one of hundreds of volunteers helping more than 350 displaced animals, most from families who had to evacuate without their pets.
It brings tears to my eyes. We're all just super touched and super grateful.
Kevin McManus is with the Humane Society.
Yesterday at this time, we had a line of folks waiting to bring their animals in to us. And those were folks, as you mentioned, that were forced to evacuate. Thankfully, they brought their pets with them. And they were just looking for a place, whether the shelter they were going to or wherever they ended up leaving or going to, the pets were not able to come with them.
Volunteers are here from all over the Golden State. From the St. Bernard Catholic School and Glass Hill Park's girls basketball team, who brought bags of dog food, to Megan Jonathan, who drove 8 hours from Redding.
They need help too, and they can't really help themselves, so if I could help, then it's the least I could do.
Throughout the day, people donated pet food, blankets, carriers, and bedding.
We've always been animal lovers, and it just breaks my heart that there's so many animals being displaced along with their humans, so being able to help and support in any way we can is it's something that was really important to us to do.
The center is not only housing animals, but treating them for fire-related injuries.
We do expect, and we've already started to receive some stray animals who've sustained serious injuries, burns, smoke inhalation, that kind of thing. So we have our ICU, our animal ICU, staffed and going, working on those animals.
In the uncertainty of the coming days, a community coming together, finding a shared hope in the love for our furry friends who often make our families whole.
Faith in humanity has been restored, in my opinion, regardless of any climate, the global climate, the political climate. Everybody's coming together, putting aside differences, coming together as a community in honor of our four-legged friends, our feathered friends, everybody, everything. We're all just wanting to help.
And McManus says along with the donations of pet food, bedding, carriers, they really need monetary donations in order to continue to provide that critical care to animals impacted by these fires. Josh Sanders, CBS News.
All right, let's get to KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers on the desk now with updated information on the Palisades fire. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, and I want to show you a video from the helicopter here because the Palisades fire is still burning tonight, and that is what we were looking at as it approaches the ridge lines of the Santa Monica Mountains. So we'll show you the chopper video here in just a second so you can see the flames that are active tonight. And Juan, while I talk to you about this, I want to tell you about an issue that was happening earlier today when a super scooper, we believe, had to be grounded because of a drone that was flying in the Palisades fire area. That drone then caused the aircraft to have to land, and it is now no longer an aircraft that we can use. The Super Scooper is obviously a very large piece of equipment that is very valuable. And by the way, not ours. It comes from Canada. They loan it to us, or lease it to us rather, every year to help in our wildfires. And tonight it is unfortunately on the ground because of that drone strike. The LA Times reporting that there is a hole in one of the wings from the aircraft there. So that's certainly something we'll be paying attention to. I have tried to follow up with the FAA, who is deferring all questions to CAL FIRE, who is not answering any questions about the incident at this time. We want to know if they found the operator of the drone, obviously. And for those of you who don't know, it is punishable by time in federal prison as well as a $75,000 civil fine by the FAA. And not only that, it is incredibly dangerous. Juan, that drone made contact with the wing of an aircraft, easily could have brought it to the ground, which would have been a whole other tragedy that we would have been dealing with. So, unfortunately, the best case scenario in this situation is that we are now down a aircraft to be able to help fight this fire. I want to talk to you also about just kind of the devastation. We got a chance to look at it from SkyCal today, getting really a firsthand look at just how bad everything is, which is, probably what that person with the drone was trying to capture as well, even as unsafe as that is. The fire has burned several thousand acres at this point. We do know of at least 5 deaths in total between the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire. Juan, I was trying to get some clarification. We know that 2 of the deaths from the Palisades fire happened in the Malibu area. Those are LA County Sheriff's jurisdiction. But then Chief Jim McDonald from the LAPD talked about a different death that happened in the actual city of the Palisades, or the town of the Palisades rather, versus the Malibu area. So it sounds like we've probably got 3 deaths associated with this fire so far in the Palisades as we watch a water drop happening from that helicopter. Water drops are ongoing throughout the night. There is an extensive amount of water dropping helicopters on the fire tonight. I can tell you in just the Palisades fire, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 water dropping helicopters in that area, and a Chinook, so a 7th, coming in to help out. We are hearing now that forward progress has been stopped on the other fire, the Kenneth fire, over there in the Woodland Hills area, so we're working on that information as well. But Juan, the firefight continues tonight, and it will continue well into the night as the fire is now on the north end of the Santa Monica mountain range. The next really populated area that it would approach would be the Encino area, and at this point, or Tarzana, Encino kind of area. At this point, there's no new evacuations or anything like that. Let me just double check here with CAL FIRE to make sure that's still the case. But last check, there were no, I do have containment numbers though. That's a good one. 6% contained according to CAL FIRE tonight.
On which one?
On the Palisades fire.
Nice.
So that's nice to hear. That is the first time that I can remember that we have seen a containment number on the Palisades fire. CAL FIRE also saying the fire is now 19,978 acres. That information updated about a half an hour ago. So 19,978 acres and 6% contained. And remember, when we talk about containment lines and flames have nothing to do with each other. You'll look at the Kenneth fire, right? That is forward progress, we believe, has been stopped in that. The Kenneth fire is still at 0% contained, even though we don't see really any active flame, and the forward progress of that fire has been stopped. The containment lines are specifically those hard lines that are wrapped around the fire to prevent it from going anywhere else. That is what we see those dozer crews doing. That's what we see the hand crews doing as well with the their pickaxes and chainsaws and all of that. I'm not really sure what the chopper's looking at, so maybe we can come back out on camera here while we sort that out. But that is something that is still ongoing. The firefight, very active tonight there in the Santa Monica Mountains above the Pacific Palisades. The good news of the Kenneth fire appears to be at least getting to be a bit more under control tonight, Juan.
We will take each and every one of those wins.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you. Well, we learned the name today of a man who died in the Eaton fire and also learned his family has deep roots in the history of Los Angeles. KCAL News reporter Jasmine Veal spoke with his daughter live on KCAL Mornings. Here's a portion of that interview and the reaction our anchors had to it.
Kimiko, I know this is so hard. Tears are in your eyes. You were telling me about the history, the legacy that Rodney Kent Nickerson leaves behind.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about your dad, and obviously we'll go back to Tuesday night when this firestorm hit.
He's been living here since 1968. This is the house that I came home to as a child. And I've been here my whole life. I don't know anywhere else other than here. Myself and my brother and my son, Chase, and his other grandchildren. This is where we've been our whole life. And my son tried to get him to leave, and my neighbors and myself. And he said he'll be fine. I'll be here when you guys come back. And he said his house would be here. His house is here, and he was here too. He was in his bed when I found him.
His legacy, his grandfather established Nickerson Gardens in Watts, the largest public housing development in LA.
Yes, ma'am. William Nickerson, my great-great-grandfather, his grandfather, was the founder and owner of Nickerson Gardens in Watts. And then from there, he started Golden State Mutual, which still exists on the corner of Western and Adams. And we've been here.
An engineer. I mean, this is an 83-year-old man who leaves behind 45 years of work at Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, he worked at Lockheed Martin for 45 years. He was a project engineer manager. My mom worked at Lockheed. He started at Lockheed when they were in Burbank, and when they moved to Palmdale, he commuted from here to Palmdale every day until he retired. The neighborhood is completely gone, blocks and blocks and blocks down, and it's just devastating. It's devastating.
It is. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
Your grandson, 25-year-old Chase, was here living with Rodney. Chase said, "I'm out of here at 11 p.m. Tell me what happened."
He just kept telling my dad, "Come on, pack up the car. Papa, come on, let's go." Yeah. And he was like, "I'll be right behind you." And he put some stuff in the car that's still there. And Chase was like, "Papa, we got to go now." And he says, "If I need to go, I'll go. But grandson, I don't need to go right now. But I'll be here."
Chase couldn't convince. I mean, it was just Grandpa's going to stay.
Yeah. And boy, did he stay.
He wanted to stay in the home that he has lived in for decades.
This is true. And he did just that.
This entire landscape, this entire place has changed forever. And obviously the lives of the poor Nickerson family changed forever too.
Touching interview.
Rachel, maybe you could. Yeah. Very emotional, because I think the story of Mr. Nickerson hits home. He's like our own fathers, our own grandfathers. So when you hear of a life well lived, such as Mr. Nickerson, and the loss of a life, it strikes a chord with us as well.
And may he rest in peace. The Sunset Fire, which started last night in the Hollywood Hills, is fully contained tonight. That's great news. It burned just over 40 acres, threatening some iconic landmarks. And to the Hearst fire now, it is now 10% contained and appears to be slowing. It's burned nearly 700 acres in the Sylmar area. Well, the Southern California firestorm is impacting LA sports. The Lakers postponed their game that was scheduled for tonight, and the NFL has moved Monday night's playoff game between the LA Rams and Minnesota Vikings to Arizona. Earlier today, KCAL Sports Director Jim Hill spoke with Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh about the fires.
Speaking for myself, Sarah, our kids and the family, our thoughts and prayers are with all those. I wish we could be more involved, right? And be lending a hand, but very inspired by seeing neighbors, helping neighbors, and everybody in this community, Los Angeles community. This is the worst fire that in the history of the city, but it's inspiring to watch people have each other's back.
All right, our thanks to Coach Harbaugh and to Jim Hill. All right, to next weather now, meteorologist Danny Roberti not only monitoring the winds, but what's in store for us as we get closer to the weekend, Danny.
Yeah, exactly, because we're laser focused right now on that window when we are going to get a break from the winds. Right now, that's not the case. We saw it out there a little bit earlier today, actually, early in the morning hours into kind of late morning. We got a break from the intense winds that we had been seeing. And that is a huge help. Now, what we're monitoring tonight, yes, we've got another bump in the winds, but let me tell you, it's not going to be like Tuesday night when we were seeing that window of the peak winds. But still, this is enough to keep us on high alert. We're still dealing with the red flag warnings. We've got high wind warnings in effect. And actually going into tonight, the focus for some of these stronger winds, it's actually going to be now shifted to San Bernardino County and also Orange County. We'll see some gusty winds picking up tonight into early tomorrow morning. But I've got to say, this is more of a traditional Santa Ana wind event. So the San Gabriel Valley is not going to be getting in on this. But still, we're going to be getting those gusty winds anywhere from about 40 to 50 miles per hour, with some gusts mainly up in the mountains nearing 60 and 70 miles per hour. So let's take a look at current conditions, and we're going to walk you through what's next to make sure that you and your family feel prepared going into the next couple of days, because I've got my eyes on that window when we get a break. So here's a look at our current wind gusts. Simi Valley, 26 miles per hour. Santa Clarita, 32 miles per hour right now. So you can see that this is stronger than what we were seeing last night. Up through Wrightwood, 20 miles per hour. And take a look right here, just to the west of San Bernardino, areas like Claremont. We're starting to see those winds funneling down, and they're starting to strengthen just a bit as well. So let's talk about what's going on with the Kenneth fire right now. I'm keeping a close eye on those current conditions. We're not looking at incredibly strong winds, gusts between 15 to 25 miles per hour. Of course, up through the higher terrain, that's where we start to see some of those stronger winds, those localized gusts. But even with gusts between 15 to 25 miles per hour, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to spread these embers quickly and unpredictably. And really what we've seen over the past couple of days, these winds have been so erratic. And that's what we're seeing again right now. And I think what the big concern is, what it all comes down to, is how terribly dry everything is right now. We haven't had any good rain. And so that's what's kind of amplifying this fire danger for us every time we see these winds picking up, and what makes it hard to keep up with some of these fires. So here's this fire gust between 15 to 25 miles per hour. Of course, we've got the Santa Ana winds and also the difficult terrain right now. So our firefighters, they are out there. They are working hard. We have 24 more hours of this red flag warning in effect. So let's talk about what's next. Right now, until around 4 o'clock in the morning, this is when winds are expected to increase. But I do want to mention, nothing like the other night when we were seeing gusts around 80 to 90 miles per hour. And it's not going to be as widespread. It's focused on those windy corridors that we see when we're dealing with the Santa Ana winds. The strongest winds this evening actually going to be in the Inland Empire and Orange County. But right now, we're really seeing it through the Santa Clarita Valley. That's also going to be a big focus going into tonight. Now, wind or not, fire danger is going to stay elevated until we get a good soaking rain here in Southern California. Typically at this point, we've seen enough rain to mitigate this fire danger. We haven't yet. So that's what we're hoping for, and that's what we need. Is we need a storm to make its way into Southern California and bring us that rain. Until then, we're dealing with the elevated fire danger, but the high alert, the red flag warning, this guy is in effect until Friday evening. That's because we still have gusty winds out there, and things are so incredibly dry. And we're not just talking, I mean, that dry vegetation. Of course, that is a huge factor in this, but it's how dry things are when these Santa Ana winds funnel down. It dries things out. That's what's leading to the high fire danger. This includes our mountain communities. We will continue to see that high fire danger in Altadena, where we have the Eaton fire burning. That's also the case in Calabasas, Woodland Hills. You can see that through Pacific Palisades, right there along the Malibu coast. This is where we are on high alert for fire danger over the next 24 hours. But at least we see, I mean, I know this got extended. That was the big news today. But that there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just need to get a break from the fire danger, even though it will remain elevated until we get that rain, but a break from the winds. I mean, that's going to be the big story. So we got to talk about the winds, because I see a window out there. Tonight, though, that's not the case. The focus for the strongest winds, inland Orange County, Inland Empire, all of our mountain communities. Valleys are going to see gusts between 45 to 60 miles per hour. Mountains potentially seeing 55 to 75 mile per hour gusts. The Santa Clarita Valley's included in this, and also the Malibu coast. So over the next 24 hours, let's talk window of when things are going to start to die down a little bit. So Thousand Oaks, really starting at 8 o'clock to around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We're looking at gusts at around 35 miles per hour. And then look at how they gradually die down all the way going into the afternoon. Typically, when we're dealing with a Santa Ana wind event like this, we normally see these winds picking up at night into the early morning hours. The afternoon gets here, and that's when those winds will die down. That's what we're going to see going into tomorrow. So let's talk timing. I want to talk about that window and let you know when we're going to get a break from some of these kind of extreme conditions that we've been seeing, because it has been days of this. This is a look at 9 o'clock. I'm going to walk you through hour by hour in your neighborhood what we're expecting to see. Very similar to right now. Winds are going to increase a little bit, and you can see the bullseye. It's going to be Thousand Oaks. You've got some gusty winds there. Simi Valley, Agora Hills, Calabasas. We are going to continue to see these offshore winds going into tonight, right where the Kenneth fire is burning. That's what's making things very difficult in terms of getting this under control right now. Santa Clarita, and then especially up through the San Gabriel Mountains, those purples right there indicating gusts between 50 to 60 miles per hour. Over towards the Inland Empire, Inland Orange County, this is going to be stretching really from areas like Silverado Canyon over towards Foothill Ranch, Irvine, right there along the 5, Costa Mesa, right there towards Lido. Crystal Cove is going to be getting in on some of that as well. Let me zip you out. We're going to zoom things out and fast forward by hours. So this is a look at in the middle of the night, still windy at this point, those exact same areas. You can see it's not going to spread. It's just going to be in those windy corridors. This is a look at Friday morning, and you can see it's not as strong as what we're going to see over the next 5 hours. So winds are going to die down going into tomorrow morning, and then especially tomorrow afternoon. And then once we get to Saturday, we're going to get a break from the winds. They're going to be much lighter, and the focus for the lighter winds, it's really going to be Friday afternoon, Friday night, going into Saturday. And actually, I want to say some of our valleys on Saturday even going to get a little bit of that sea breeze. I mean, we're still really going to be in this offshore pattern, but anything we can get, that is going to help out with the firefight. So a little bit of that sea breeze is going to help out once we get to Saturday. And then Saturday night, another round of winds moving in. I'll show you that in just a little bit. This has been the other big story. It's been the air quality. I mean, we all notice it outside. You can smell it out there. I mean, you don't really want to spend that much time out there because the smoke has been so thick, and it's been getting funneled from these fires all over LA County. I mean, even if you are not being affected by the fires, some way, somehow you're being impacted in LA County because we're seeing this thick smoke, and it's really kind of tough to be outside at times like this. Right now, this air quality alert, I'm checking on this right now because it has constantly been extended. It looks like National Weather Service, yes, has extended this air quality alert until 5 o'clock Friday evening. And this is a wood burning alert for Thursday and Friday. We've got this wildfire smoke out there in LA County. That is the focus of it. And this is what makes it a little bit dangerous outside. The air quality alert is in place for the Inland Empire in Orange County. I want to tell you, though, I was driving from Orange County up into LA County today. Orange County, things seem fine, and all of a sudden you get into LA County driving along the 5 and you just notice that smoke out there. It's thick, and this is not the kind of conditions that you want to be outside in. The worst of it right now is through Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Culver City. We've got that along the 10 and the 110 from Culver City, making your way towards the 101. Pasadena, Glendale, also seeing that through Alhambra. Pasadena, of course, is seeing that thicker smoke. And then West Covina into Glendora. That's where we've got the air quality alerts that are in place. I want to talk about the Santa Ana winds for a minute. I mean, we see this year after year. We get the Santa Ana winds. But this one that we saw, it was particularly strong for us. This is going to do a good job of breaking down for you what we're seeing out there. When we get these Santa Anas, this is the pattern. So we have this really strong ridge that's over the ocean just to the west of us. And then on the other side of us, we have this strong low to our east. And both of these systems over the last week, they have been incredibly strong, and that's what's enhanced these winds. So what happens is that we're starting to see these winds hit a wall. It's the Sierra Nevada, and then all of this energy in the winds, it gets squeezed and squeezed, and it starts to move quicker and quicker. With us here in Southern California being the bullseye for it, the winds will start to find openings, and as they do so, they start to enhance, they start to go down through canyons, and that's why they start to ramp up and move through so very quickly. And that's also what warms us up. We felt it out there today. Tomorrow, though, we're going to see temperatures not quite as warm. We'll see upper 60s in Burbank, Pasadena, Pasadena, 70 in downtown Los Angeles, upper 60s over in San Bernardino. I want to show you the next 7 days because I'm tracking 2 more opportunities for wind. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that we were going to see rain. That's not the case right now. I'll keep a close eye on any kind of inkling of that. But you can see over the next 7 days, 60s this weekend through Los Angeles and Orange counties, and then we'll stay right there into early next week. Now, for the wind-prone areas of our valleys, we're going to see a bump in winds Saturday night into Sunday, and then we're going to see another Santa Ana wind event Tuesday night into Wednesday. We're going to be monitoring this one very closely. This could potentially be another strong Santa Ana wind event. And I don't want to scare you. This is not going to be anything like what we just saw, but it is something that's going to keep us on high alert into early next week. And we want to make sure that you feel prepared because we are going to see more of those winds. Tuesday night into Wednesday, we will be with you every step of the way with that one. Inland Empire, we're going to get a break from the winds. Friday, Saturday, a little bit windy Saturday into Sunday, and you can see those temperatures hovering in the 60s. More Santa Ana winds next week. We're going to keep a very close eye on the current wind gusts, where we're seeing the strongest winds, and we'll keep you updated with how things are changing over the next hour.
We'll be checking back with you real soon. Danny, thank you. And now to breaking news tonight, this time in the Kenneth fire. We have some great news to report. Ventura County Fire says forward progress has been stopped. All evacuations in LA County have also been reduced to warnings now, and evacuation warnings in Ventura County, those have been lifted. 400 firefighters are still working on this fire throughout the night, so we'll keep you posted on that. And so far, it doesn't look like there's any damage related to this fire. A family in Pacific Palisades jumped into action to protect homes. They used their own fire equipment and their own water. They explained how it works to our reporter, Kevin Coe.
I am here with a full family here. Well, not the entire family, but you guys are all related, right? Can you guys introduce yourselves real quick?
I'm Evan Galling.
I'm Gene Galling.
Patrick Galling. Patrick, I want to start with you because we met you because we found out you had this crazy piece of equipment that was firefighting almost on its own. Can you explain what it was doing for me real quick?
Sure, yeah. So we have a generator that sucks water out of a pool, and we have a big sprinkler system that you can adjust to cover whatever space you want, and we also have a hose that you can hold on to. And so this was my dad's idea. He's been preaching about this forever. For anybody with a pool, they should have this. Have it ready. We literally set it up and let it run for an hour and a half when we weren't here, checked on the neighborhood, came back, refilled the gas, did another round, came back, refilled gas. We had this thing going for about 5 hours a day, and it must have protected our home because everything around here is burnt. Our home looks safe.
Yeah, actually, Brian, if we could pan over here. Over there.
The whole thing was just completely burnt. All the furniture right here. Look, you can see it's completely burnt, and that thing saved it 100%.
Wow.
Our pool is all drained. We used both pools, and while we were doing the rounds, looking at the neighborhood, we were saving the other houses over there, pouring buckets on the roof because I saw that the building back there was burning. So we started pouring the water, just throwing it on the roof. Well, their whole vineyard was just on fire too, but we saved the house, but the backyard's kind of burnt. But
I'm sure they 100% appreciate
yeah. We called them this morning. They were so thankful. So
Evan, thank you.
No problem.
You're the man. And last but not least, sir, I do have to talk with you, the father of this household, right?
Yeah, this is Gene Galling. I had the initial thought to do this because I know it can always rely on the fire departments. Help yourself, but you need the right equipment, and I didn't want to risk any time. So get what you can get for the most efficient job, right? And that's where we got this equipment.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
You've lived in this neighborhood for 12 years?
12 years, right.
How do you feel right now, just seeing your neighborhood and the state that it's in?
It's devastating. I've talked to some friends. They have one friend is retired. He has lived there for almost 45 years. His daughter, who's married, lives with her family next door, right? This is the only asset in his that he has, and both homes burned down. And this is a story that is not unique. It's everywhere in this neighborhood.
Unfortunately.
Right? Yeah.
Gene, thank you so much.
I'm
glad you guys are
Kevin,
okay.
right?
Patrick, yes,
My
sir.
hands are all sludgy. If I may add one more thing. The fire department yesterday, when we told them we had a pool pump, they waved us by. They need all the help they can. So this was a blessing for them because less for them to worry about. So they embraced it. So.
It's all hands on deck at this point.
So when is this going to be shown?
Oh, right now. Back to you.
Oh, really?
That was Kevin Coe reporting right there. And we have some breaking news to tell you about. Another fire is burning at this hour. It's burning in Pacoima. We understand it's at West Foothill Boulevard. So far, it's a small one. It's 1 acre in size, but some homes are exposed due to this fire there. We have SkyCal heading in that direction right now, just to give you an idea of what's happening there. But again, this is happening in Pacoima. You might be able to see some flames there. I think I see some red flashing lights there too, meaning that there are some crews already on it. But again, it's a small one. It's on West Foothill Boulevard. It's about 1 acre in size, and some homes are exposed. So, of course, that's the great danger. So far tonight, we saw some flames and some brush being burnt in areas that were kind of empty and just basically kind of desolate. But in this case, it seems like homes are very close to this 1 acre brush fire. We're going to continue monitoring the situation there. I think it might be right there in the middle, just above the 210 freeway right there. I'm not quite sure, but the SkyCal is still at quite a distance. But looks like that may be it, and hopefully crews will be out there very shortly to put this fire out. 1 acre is still, quite big. Most lots for homes are about 1/4 of an acre in size or smaller. So we're looking at 1 acre, so that could be a pretty good size. And we are being told now by my producers that fire trucks are now being deployed to this area here. So again, we're going to keep monitoring the situation here in Pacoima. Again, another brush fire burning there, West Foothill Boulevard, 1 acre. We are told some homes are exposed. Well, as the flames and the smoke crept closer, hundreds of people trying to evacuate, they ditched their cars and they ran. We saw this early on in this firefight. Madison Keevy heard some harrowing stories. She joins us live now in the Palisades.
That chaos and confusion that we saw play out is frozen in time here. So you have two sides of the road, both lined with cars. On the side we're on, these cars are burned out. You can actually see, based on where the cars are parked and burned, the path of this fire. But you're also going to see cars moving through the roadway. On the other side, more cars. These, though, are in better shape with burns. Some of them, though, bumper to bumper, turned around. That wasn't how they were left by the drivers. So in the hours that followed those evacuations after people got out, this road, Sunset Boulevard here, going towards PCH, it's just east of the main LA road, was crucial for first responders to get into the Palisades and fight this fire. And so they brought in a bulldozer and just moved these cars apart. That's where the roadway comes. It's not a perfect straight line, but it's enough, as we've seen tonight still, for personnel to come through, especially some of these big water tankers and fire engines. So today I spent the day talking to drivers. A couple have their cars parked in what you're seeing here still. They haven't been able to access them. In fact, watching us here on KCAL, one couple told me they saw that their car was okay. It wasn't burned like this. It's on the other side. They said it's not the car that matters, but what's inside of it. Of course, we've heard the stories. When people are evacuating, especially in their car, they put everything that's important that they're going to take with them inside. And a couple of drivers told me that's still where those important things are. One of them just wanting to get back up and see their cars. Some of them worried about looters, though I will say this is a frequently traveled road, and we have seen police here tonight, driving back and forth as well. So I talk about it being frozen in time, minus the movement, those bulldozers to move that away. One of the drivers I talked to said it's a miracle that their cars are even still here and that some of them aren't burned like you see. There's relief. I heard from a driver who says even though he doesn't know if the stuff that they brought is okay inside of his car, just the fact that the car is still there and looks kind of okay is giving him hope. Of course, he says it's a bright spot in what's been a very dark few days. He and his wife lost their home, and say again, it's not the car that they're happy to learn has survived, but he's hopeful that the stuff inside of it did. I talked to another woman who actually drove her car out of here today. She was able to get in and take it, though this road is still not open to the public. And she said it smells like smoke. Of course, it's covered in soot. She has to get it maintenance. But again, it's that small bright spot in what, in her words, she says has been just a tragic, tragic day. And, you know, there's this little bit of hope that if your car is parked on that side, that what you wanted to evacuate with might still be in there. And that's enough for the drivers that I talked to keep them going into the next few days, they say, until they can get back up here and safely check out their car and retrieve their items.
All right, Madison, thank you so much. And wow, crazy there. Depends on where you parked on the street that day. Depends on whether or not your car burned down. All right, more now on that breaking news I told you about just a moment ago. A new brush fire burning in Pacoima. Let's go to Mike Rogers on the desk. Hopefully you have an update for us, Mike.
Yeah, so the chopper is getting into position there. They're still a ways out. They were coming from the Palisades fire, obviously. But LAFD, what we know right now, is calling this a 1-acre fire. They are saying that there are some homes exposed. And what exposed means is that the fire is burning near them. So at this moment, we have not heard of any homes actually being burned, but there are homes in the area. LAFD is saying this is happening in the 12,500 block of West Foothill Boulevard. If you know where that is in that area, it is right off of kind of the 210 and the 118 freeways where they meet right there. So it looks like it's a vegetation fire that's right on the side of the road. As you can see, the chopper is still getting in position there. So we don't have their picture from them just yet, but we'll continue to keep an eye on this as they get a little bit closer. But again, this is off the 210 and the 118 freeways in the Pacoima area. It is being called a vegetation fire, and at this point, we only know it to be about 1 acre, and we'll probably be able to see it come into the shot here in just a second. It was putting up some good smoke and flames, but LAFD is already there. They're already well aware of this, and they are working on getting it out. And I'm just looking in the area right now to see if there are any water dropping helicopters that are going to get involved in this. And it doesn't look like it because in the grand scheme of things, an acre is not that big. And if it's contained to the side of the freeway, they'll hopefully be able to get it out. And I can look through CHP really quick and see what kind of information they have on it as well, because it's likely something that was reported to them excuse me, as a, Paxton and Foothills where they originally had it. So they originally had it as trees on fire. So it's unclear what started the fire, obviously, but 7:38 p.m. is what time CHP was first called. They said trees on fire close to the westbound 118 freeway. Fire is about an acre. They said that they're getting some units to shut down the freeway, or a portion, at least the transition road, the westbound and eastbound to the 210, from the 118 to the 210 is what they are closing down. So they do have a break at the 118 from the 5, and Caltrans is being asked to assist with the closure for a little bit. And you'll see, I mean, even as we get kind of closer here, as Pat Harvey joins us now, they are working on getting, Leslie's there too. Hi, Leslie. They're working on getting some of the road closures in place here, but not something that I think we need to be terribly worried about. It was a pretty small fire and something that in theory they should be able to get under control pretty quickly. Those units working to do that now. And of course, as soon as the chopper gets a little bit closer, we'll be able to get a better eye on it. But they're only saying exposed homes. They're not saying any homes are on fire at this point, you guys.
Well, that's good news, and it's near Sylmar, so they're probably concerned about that as well and wanted to jump on it right away.
Right.
You know, Mike, we understand you have some other, good news to tell us about that Kenneth fire. The forward progress has been stopped, and there's a difference in evacuation warnings and orders that have been issued.
Right. So the Kenneth fire, the forward progress on the fire, that fire has been stopped. And the good news is they are still, even though the forward progress has been stopped, they're still using aircraft to do some of the water dropping in there. And some of the voluntary evacuations in the Oak Park area and in the Bell Canyon area have both been lifted. Those are the voluntary evacuations that have both been lifted. That's right on the right side of your screen. That is the Kenneth fire from earlier. That is not live. That is the Kenneth fire from earlier. This is not what that's, excuse me, that scene looks like anymore. It has significantly calmed down since then, which is really great news. Now, I actually have on the phone with me is the LAPD, because what we're trying to sort out is a person that has been detained. Now, I'm going to walk you through this because there's a lot of unknowns at this point, and we're really trying to sort it all out. But what happened was in Woodland Hills, so keep in mind the fire started almost in the West Hills area, Woodland Hills, south of the Ventura Boulevard, south of the 101, there was a person that a group of citizens, for one reason or another, believed was an arson suspect. That group of citizens detained that arson suspect. LAPD Topanga Division came out and picked him up, brought him to Topanga Station, and now detectives from Ventura County Sheriff are coming to Topanga Station to interview this person. Right now, LAPD is not able to say if this person is in fact an arson suspect, if it is in fact an arson suspect from the Kenneth fire. That is everything that is still under investigation. But again, he was found in Woodland Hills by a group of citizens and was taken into custody by LAPD while they investigate. He is not under arrest. He has not been charged. They're just detaining him as they investigate. So as we look at the chopper now live in Pacoima, the good news is this is already out. There's no flames left here. So that's really encouraging here. And it just really goes to show you the difference in the wind conditions and how much of a difference that makes when we don't have those winds to contend with, and right up against the homes here, but already under control. And just, if you see right there on the side of the freeway, looks like just some smoldering hot spots left at this point.
Well, that is terribly good news to report. And you know what? Even if, in terms of that suspect that they have, they are questioning someone. And at this point, you really have to follow all of your leads.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not going to say, nah, never mind. They're going to, you know, even if he's not their guy, they'll detain him for questioning. And sounds like something there enough for them to at least detain him, right? But we want to be clear. He has not been arrested. He has not been charged. He is simply being questioned. We're working to get to the bottom of why these citizens believed that he was an arson suspect. It was not any kind of detectives that did this work. It was citizens that got this information, and they held him until police got there. So we're looking at the 118 and the 210 here really quick, and there is some flames left just right there in the corner, but you've got plenty of engines there on scene. They should be able to get this under control pretty quickly.
Yeah, at some point, Mike, you know, we keep seeing a lot of these little spot fires as well. Yeah. You wonder what started this. This is under, you know, under the freeway there. So you wonder what started this here. So, of course, there'll be an investigation even on this, but as well as over at the Kenneth fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Mike, hang tight. Okay, we're going to go to this. 20 people have been arrested for looting as of tonight. That's according to the LA County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, and a few will go into place for evacuation zones. Nicole Comstock is in Altadena with more on the effort to keep people's property, Nicole, safe.
It's infuriating, Pat and Leslie, that people would actually not have enough compassion to where they would